Chapter 71 The first batch of arrivals of the Pengyun Token. That day, Zhou Yun was meditating and cultivating. Suddenly, I sensed an unusual fluctuation in the space and discovered that a guest had arrived. I didn't expect that cultivators would arrive so quickly. They quickly got up and headed to the meeting point. Regardless, this was the first cultivator to arrive at the Pengyun merchant ship. Inside the thatched hut, a misty figure looked around the unfamiliar surroundings with a blank expression. "Is this on the Pengyun merchant ship?" The visitor looked surprised, and upon seeing the shabby surroundings, he thought he had been tricked. He took a great deal of courage to activate the token and give it a try, mainly because the allure of the Pengyun merchant ship was simply too great. The cultivation world is full of deceit and treachery. Who knows if it's a trap? "It's someone I know." Zhou Yun appeared at the reception point in the room and saw the familiar figure in the mist. He whispered, "Young Master Zhou, it's been a long time." Upon seeing Zhou Yun's figure, Wang Hao finally breathed a sigh of relief. This really was the Pengyun merchant ship. As the first guest, and an acquaintance at that, Zhou Yun greeted him with a smile, saying, "Patriarch Wang, it's been a long time. You are the first guest to arrive at Pengyun merchant ship. Let me give you a brief introduction. This is the reception room, and it's also where you exchange Pengyun points. There's an exchange tower not far outside, where you can exchange for anything. You can visit freely first, but only on the island." Wang Hao smiled, his eyes narrowed. "All right, I understand the rules. I've long admired Pengyun merchant ship, so I'll naturally give it a thorough tour." Stepping out of the small house, Wang Hao frowned slightly. Everything outside gave him an extremely ordinary feeling. The entire island is only 100 square meters. You can scan it at a glance. Some low-level spiritual flowers and herbs are planted there. It's not even as good as his backyard. "No, I can't think with my own ideas." Wang Hao quickly shook his head. It is quite remarkable that such a large space could be carved out within the Pengyun merchant ship. How could it be simple? There wasn't much to see, so I walked straight towards the small wooden tower next to it. "Is there really any treasure in here?" Wang Hao muttered to himself. This simple wooden tower gave him the feeling that it could collapse at the slightest push. If this weren't the Pengyun merchant ship, he would never have believed that there were any treasures inside. This exchange tower has no physical wooden door, only an entrance formed by gray mist. Wang Hao took a deep breath and stepped inside. Suddenly, everything in front of him changed, and he found himself in a space of 1,000 square meters. This space has no physical form, like a bubble encased in gray gas. Numerous white orbs of light floated in the air, shimmering with varying shades of light. It contains various spiritual objects. Wang Hao glanced at the ball of light that floated past him. It is a first-tier spiritual plant, the dew-gathering grass. It's really amazing. You really can't define Pengyun merchant ship with your own mindset. Wang Hao felt that his previous idea was absolutely right. However, he wasn't very interested in these Tier 1 items. Upon reaching the center, there is a wooden staircase. They slowly walked up to the second floor. The space on the second floor shrank by about 1/10, and the color of the light orb turned red. Does this correspond to a second-tier spirit creature? A quick glance revealed that everything was of the second tier. Wang Hao raised his hand and touched the ball of light that floated past him. This is a crimson flame fruit, which he happens to recognize. To his surprise, the ball of light stayed in front of him after he touched it. A message popped up. Item: Crimson Flame Fruit. Rank: Second Tier, Mid-Grade. Description: Grown in places of earthly fire, rich in fire elemental energy. Its entire body is crimson red, and it feels slightly warm to the touch. It contains pure fire elemental energy. Efficacy: Can be taken directly, and can directly enhance the spiritual power of cultivators with fire spiritual roots. Can also be used as an ingredient in alchemy. Pengyun points. 2. Redeem/do not. Wang Hao stared at the last exchange point and fell into deep thought. wondering whether these Pengyun points were actually worth anything. He wandered around aimlessly and found something that interested him. Top-grade foundation building pill. It only costs 200 Pengyun points. Foundation establishment pills, which are rare even outside, can be freely exchanged here. This Pengyun token is an opportunity for any cultivator. Even though he hadn't asked Zhou Yun yet, after seeing so much, Wang Hao had already formed some guesses in his mind. This amount of Pengyun points is roughly equivalent to a mid-grade spirit stone. 1 Pengyun point equals 1 auction point equals 1 mid-grade spirit stone. Putting aside his curiosity, he walked towards the 3rd floor with some excitement. The space on the 3rd floor is 1/10 smaller. Orange orbs of light floated in the space. It is the golden elixir. Wang Hao excitedly ran forward. Just as he had guessed, he suppressed his excitement and hurriedly went up to the 4th floor. There are far fewer yellow orbs of light here, only a dozen or so. Wang Hao quickly found what he was looking for. Item: Shen Yuan Gathering Infant Pill. Rank: Tier 4, low grade. Effects: increases the chance of a cultivator breaking through to the nascent soul stage by 10%, and effectively protects the soul. Pengyun points: 400,000, redeem/decline. Hiss. When Wang Hao saw the Pengyun points he needed, he felt a toothache. Although I had long guessed that spiritual items that could help cultivators break through to the nascent soul stage would not be cheap, I did not expect them to cost so much. This is only a low-grade product. If it were a top-grade product, Wang Hao wouldn't even dare to imagine the price. These 400,000 Pengyun points are roughly equivalent to 400,000 mid-grade spirit stones. In recent years, he donated all his family assets to Pengyun Auction House and the Huang family. Even if they sold the entire Wang family, they still couldn't afford it. Reluctantly, he withdrew his gaze. They ran outside. The price of 400,000 mid-grade spirit stones was not set by Zhou Yun according to the previous auction price. Auction prices are always inflated significantly. The items in the exchange tower are generally priced at market value. However, for things like breaking through to the nascent soul stage, which have no market price, Zhou Yun would adjust the price by a few cents, taking into account the auction results. We're short 50,000 mid-grade spirit stones. Young Master Zhou, young Master Zhou. Wang Hao ran over quickly and excitedly said to Zhou Yun, I want to exchange for Pengyun points. In his excitement, he didn't even notice. At this moment, 2 more figures appeared inside the room. Zhou Yun turned to look at Wang Hao. Oh, you've come at the right time. There were still some things we hadn't finished talking about. Let's listen to them together. After hearing Zhou Yun's words and calming down, he realized that there were 2 misty figures standing beside him, and he couldn't tell if they were male or female. Zhou Yun could make out their appearances. The newcomers were a man and a woman. The woman was at the early stage of the Golden Core realm. I didn't recognize her. The man was at the 7th level of Qi refining. He was none other than UK, whom I had seen at the Pengyun auction before. Unexpectedly, this little guy was so lucky to obtain the Pengyun token. However, after several years, he can no longer be called a little guy. His cultivation level has also improved a lot. Now that he has obtained the Pengyun token, barring any unforeseen circumstances, he may leave behind a legend in the cultivation world. Chapter 72 News from the Heavenly Dynasty. The magpie is no longer thin and small. It has become much taller and more upright. His usually cold face, when standing in front of Zhou Yun, actually had a bit of a docile look, like a boy next door. No one would have imagined that UK, who kills without blinking an eye, would look like this. If someone who knows UK were to witness this scene, it will definitely shock you. Zhou Yun glanced at the 3 of them and said calmly, I suppose you've all sensed the special nature of this place. You don't need to worry about your safety here, and as long as you don't actively reveal yourself, no one will be able to detect your true identity. The female cultivator looked skeptical, thinking that what this person was saying was too exaggerated. This seemingly ordinary place is indeed magical, able to teleport her here silently. The other party is far too arrogant. He immediately questioned, what if the other party is an immortal? Even immortals won't do. Zhou Yun's tone was extremely firm. Stop. He raised his hand to interrupt her from continuing to ask these meaningless questions. It's hard to say how many true immortals there are in the current Shention cultivation world, and such things are too far removed from him. By the time they truly encounter the immortals, the Pengyun merchant ship will no longer be what it is today. Even immortals have to kneel down. First, you can only stay on the Pengyun merchant ship for 1 day. For each day you stay longer, 100 Pengyun points will be deducted. Secondly, your activities are limited to the island. You can't go anywhere else. You are free to wander around the island as you please. Third, you cannot cultivate inside the Pengyun merchant ship, so you cannot absorb spiritual energy from the outside world. Fourth, you can activate the token and leave at any time anywhere on the island. Items cannot be used on the Pengyun merchant ship. The restriction will only be lifted after you leave. Zhou Yun paused at this point. Finally, he waved his hand and said, "That's about it. As long as you have enough Pengyun points, you can stay here until you run out of Pengyun points and are kicked out. You are welcome to look around first." He turned to look at Wang Hao and said, "You want to exchange for Pengyun points? Take out the items." With a wave of his arm, Zhou Yun conjured a jade disc about 1 meter long beside the counter, emitting a faint glow. Take out your items and put them into the groove below the jade disc. The corresponding Pengyun points can be exchanged for the items. If you feel that one of the exchanges is not worth it, you can cancel it at any time and it will be returned to you. Why don't you give it a try? Wang Hao looked at the jade disc with curiosity, but when he tried to take out the item, his body tensed up. 2 pairs of eyes were staring straight at him from behind, and he felt a moment of panic. Zhou Yun saw through his thoughts. There is an opening button at the bottom of the jade disc. When you redeem it, it will automatically isolate you inside. Hearing Zhou Yun's words, Wang Hao breathed a sigh of relief. Pengyun merchant ship continues to do a good job in protecting the privacy of its guests. Although he didn't know who the 2 people behind him were, but it's never a bad thing to keep a vigilant mind. Moreover, sometimes certain items have very special symbolic meanings, and some cultivators may be able to guess your identity just from the items you take out. Of course, these items are all high level, and not something a golden core cultivator like him could possess. Standing in front of the jade disc, he was about to place his hand on it. Suddenly, Zhou Yun spoke up, reminding him, "Oh right." He rubbed his forehead and said, "I suppose you all obtained the Pengyun token in different ways. You should have also noticed that the Pengyun token cannot recognize a master." The 3 looked up at Zhou Yun, who had made it very clear that they could not accept him as their master. This means that anyone who obtains their Pengyun token can use it, including any remaining Pengyun points within their Pengyun token. Understood. Wang Hao rubbed his hands together and couldn't wait to start exchanging them. When he placed his hand on the screen, a small gray space appeared before everyone's eyes. Wang Hao could no longer be seen by those outside. The other 2 were somewhat disappointed, as they had originally wanted to see how it was used. However, they did not think this approach was bad. After all, they will enjoy the same treatment afterward. The stranger glanced at Zhou Yun and walked outside. When only UK was left, he stepped forward cautiously. "Senior, it's been a long time. Thank you for your help last time." Yuk's voice was tinged with excitement, completely devoid of its usual indifference. Zhou Yun smiled as he looked at the boy in front of him, noticing that the boy was about the same height as him. "Good, you've grown up. I believe you'll have a good time on the Pengyun merchant ship." "Yes." Just as he was about to leave, Zhou Yun called him back. "Do you know anything about the Heavenly Palace Imperial City?" Zhou Yun was also quite curious about how far the 1000 Illusion Tower assassination mission had progressed. 4 or 5 years have passed, and there must have been some activity from the outside world. Tionk Imperial City. UK looked at Zhou Yun apologetically. I'm sorry, Senior, I'm no longer within the territory of the Tianke dynasty. Several years ago, Wuxiangpu withdrew from the Tianke dynasty and is now quietly developing within a small country. UK took out several newspapers and pushed them in front of Zhou Yun. This is the Astrological Mysteries report that Wanbage has sold in the past year. I wonder if it can be of some help to you, Senior. Zhou Yun's eyes lit up. He had long been curious about this thing. He happily accepted it, patted UK on the shoulder and said, "Not bad, I'll give you a 30% discount later." "No need." UK shook her head, flattered. "Go ahead and choose carefully." Seeing that Zhou Yun was engrossed in reading the newspaper, UK bowed and left. Zhou Yun noticed that the newspaper was labeled Astrological Mysteries Report, Southern Region, indicating that the newspaper mainly focused on major events in the southern region. Only after you get your hands on it yourself can you discover how meticulously Wanbage differentiates its products. Sigh, there's no important news, just gossip. Did I have too high expectations for the Astrological Mystery Report? He flipped through the pages casually until he came across the most recent one. A shocking upheaval has occurred in the Tianke dynasty. The fourth prince has been defeated and killed, and the position of crown prince has already been decided. The eye-catching headline caught Zhou Yun's eye. Wasn't this exactly the information he was looking for? After carefully reading the report, the power struggle that triggered turmoil in the Tianke dynasty has finally come to an end recently. Knowing full well the vast disparity in strength between himself and the crown prince, the fourth prince, Chu Yunfei, chose to gamble everything. After 3 days of fierce fighting, the fourth prince was defeated and fled in disarray. According to reliable sources, the fourth prince did not die at the hands of the crown prince, but was killed by a mysterious force during his escape. The efficiency of this 1,000 Illusions tower is quite good. They completed half of the mission in just a few years and were able to withdraw unscathed. Chapter 73: The Wang Family's Opportunity. Zhou Yun looked at the news in the Starry Sky Mystery Report, Southern Region. A mysterious force? Truly mysterious. A slight smile appeared at the corner of his lips. They were able to orchestrate the assassination of the fourth prince within the imperial city of the Tianke dynasty, and then have Qianhuanlu perfectly conceal its tracks. A desperate gamble, Zhou Yun murmured, staring at the words. To sow discord. He shook his head, deciding not to think about these things, and put the newspaper into his storage ring. These things should be shown to Uncle Zhou. He would surely be very happy. The revenge plot has finally made progress. He took out a tea set from his spatial storage and, imitating Uncle Zhou, clumsily began to boil water. He had been worried that Qianhuanlu would come to him to exchange for treasures, but now that he had received the news, the thing he had been worrying about was finally put to rest. We've only completed half the mission. It won't be so easy to continue assassinating the crown prince. It doesn't seem like it can be solved so easily. However, they should be coming to see me soon, since they promised that I could redeem it in 3 installments. He has an auction house, but no rare treasures to offer. He just hopes that the 1,000 Illusions Pavilion won't arrive so soon. This will give him time to exchange for more items through Pengyun. Now the emergence of the Pengyun Token can provide Pengyun merchant ships with a continuous stream of resources, but this will take time. The Pengyun points that cultivators exchanged were actually auction points. Or rather, there was no Pengyun point at all. Zhou Yun simply gave the auction point a nicer name. The delicate fragrance of tea slowly rose into the air, and Zhou Yun nodded in satisfaction. Making tea is actually quite simple. Zhou Yun poured himself a glass, smelled the enticing aroma, and took a sip with anticipation. Puff. It tastes so astringent. Zhou Yun's face scrunched up in a grimace. The steps are exactly the same, so why is there such a big difference? He stared at the tea in his hand with suspicion, then took another sip, forcing himself to swallow it. He then poured out all the tea. I shouldn't make things difficult for myself. He sighed and shook his head. At this moment, the grey mist in front of him dissipated, and Wang Hao's figure reappeared outside. Judging from the joy on the other person's face, they must be quite satisfied with the final exchange result. After calming his excitement, Wang Hao looked at Zhou Yun and said, "Young Master Zhou, I shall take my leave now." Judging from the other person's cheerful figure, they must have exchanged quite a few Pengyun points, but I wonder if they have any rare ones. Zhou Yun casually opened the back end to check, without having too many expectations. The other party is just a golden core cultivator. What rare treasures could they possibly have? Sure enough, what came into view was a large number of low-level items. These items have little value. Their only purpose is to be enhanced by Zhou Yun and then placed in the exchange tower. Zhou Yun, who didn't want to watch it, skipped to the very end. Pengyun point. 15005630. Zhou Yun's eyes widened instantly, and he rubbed his eyes. What is this? He stretched out his fingers, trembling as he counted the string of numbers on the screen. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. More than 15 million Pengyun points. Good heavens, what on earth did this fat guy pull out? Is it really that valuable? Try to calm yourself down. Great news, this is great news. Isn't being able to exchange for rare items exactly what I've been hoping for? Zhou Yun was shocked that a golden core cultivator could actually produce a treasure that could be exchanged for tens of millions of Pengyun points. The concern is that there aren't many treasures in the exchange tower right now. There are only about a dozen fourth-tier items. Fortunately, I was well prepared. Then, with the help of the system, I began to examine it. He wanted to see what exactly was in exchange for those millions of Pengyun points. On the other hand, it turned out that Zhou Yun's concerns were justified. With millions of Pengyun points in his pocket, Wang Hao was already so excited that he didn't know what to say. He ran straight to the 5th floor, which he hadn't been to before. He himself never imagined that the things his family had been gathering dust in the warehouse would be so valuable. He was so excited when he redeemed the currency that he almost fainted. He never expected that the small, dilapidated tower, apart from being made of sturdy material, was actually a treasure. This is an opportunity for the Wang family. With so many Pengyun points. In this exchange tower, what item can't he exchange for? Even the mysterious origin gathering pill that he had coveted before now seems rather ordinary to him. But when he climbed to the 5th floor, he was blocked by a green light curtain. There was another figure standing there, presumably someone who had come up out of curiosity. Wang Hao glanced at the other person and stepped forward. Touch the green light screen with your hand. Suddenly, a prompt appeared in front of me. Currently, the number of participants is low, and the 5th floor of the exchange tower is temporarily closed. This is what Zhou Yun prepared. There's nothing on the 5th floor, so why open it up? We cannot tell these cultivators directly that there is nothing on the 5th floor. Doesn't this diminish the mystique of Pengyun merchant ships? As for when it will open, it can be done any time Zhou Yun has the items. It seems that we are not qualified to enter yet. Wang Hao shook his head. He started to imagine things in his mind. That's right. I'm only at the golden core stage, yet I'm already coveting things at the nascent soul stage. That's a bit arrogant. Thinking of this, Wang Hao suddenly woke up, and a layer of cold sweat broke out on his back. Ignoring the figure beside him, he hurriedly ran up to the 2nd floor. I never thought that someone as cautious as myself would be blinded by money one day. Fortunately, I came to my senses in time, otherwise it would have caused a disaster. Wang Hao tried his best to calm himself down. Actually, you can't blame him for this. 15 million Pengyun points, that's 15 million mid-grade spirit stones. At the height of their Wang family fortune, plus their fixed assets, it's probably only 400,000 or 500,000 mid-grade spirit stones, which is more than 30 times the Wang family's assets. Keep a low profile. Keeping a low profile is the true principle of cultivation. There were quite a few items on the 2nd floor, and Wang Hao began to think about the development of his family, exchanging for some items that were urgently needed at the moment. 1 yen should be nurtured well, and this Pengyun token is also an opportunity for 1 yen. He will surely lead the Wang family to even greater heights. While Wang Hao was exchanging items, a small black tower about 20 centimeters tall also appeared in Zhou Yun's hand. It looks unremarkable overall, and its surface is even covered with cracks. That's it. Zhou Yun couldn't believe it. This piece of trash in front of him had exchanged his 15 million Pengyun points. Just as he was about to check the information, the strange female cultivator walked in. Zhou Yun didn't even look up and said, "Go exchange it yourself." The female cultivator nodded. Although she hadn't seen Wang Hao's exchange process before, she had clearly heard the instructions. After she started exchanging the currency, UK also came in. Zhou Yun looked up at him and smiled. "Wait a moment, there are people inside." Chapter 74 The Tower of Heaven and Earth. Zhou Yun lowered his head and continued to examine the small black tower in his hand. Aside from the material being a bit harder, it's really hard to tell. Let's use the system to identify it. I opened the panel to take a look. Item: Qianquan Dingshu Tower. Type: Antique. Damaged. Rank: Mid-grade, Tier 6. Effects: Stabilizes void and suppresses boundaries, stabilizes shattered space, helping cultivators navigate the chaotic void. Combines offense and defense, disrupts the void, weaving spatial barriers within a certain range to form a powerful defense or suppress and trap enemies in the void. Utilizes the intense spatial storms created by the shattered space for attacks. Universe Realm. A self-contained space within the tower, which cultivators can transform into areas suitable for cultivation or planting. Details: Forged from Xianhuang Mother Crystal and Void Glazed Glass, it was one of the most famous top-tier cave dwellings of ancient cultivators. The crafting technique has now been lost. TSK. Zhou Yun brushed his hand across the dull surface of the Qianquan Dingshu Tower. It turned out to be an ancient treasure. It really was a gem. If it were in perfect condition, it wouldn't be something that 15 million Pengyun points could buy. I placed it in a corner of the counter and will try to enhance it when no one is around. However, he didn't have high expectations. The tower was too damaged and had completely lost its spiritual essence. It was just a pile of precious materials. Only with an extremely high enhancement factor can one be reborn from the ashes. What will we ultimately gain? Zhou Yun wasn't quite sure either. Seeing UK standing quietly to the side, Zhou Yun said, "Come and sit down, try the tea I brewed, it should help your cultivation." UK took the tea that Zhou Yun handed her, turned her head, and drank it all in one gulp. Instantly, the spiritual energy within his body began to circulate rapidly. UK quickly sat down cross-legged to cultivate. Although it doesn't taste good, the effects are still pretty good. Seeing Yuk's momentum gradually rising, Zhou Yun nodded in satisfaction. This tea was calming and soothing for him, but for UK, a chi refining cultivator, it was a rare item for cultivation. With a flick of his wrist, a small gourd appeared in his palm. A hand brushes across the teapot, and wisps of tea float in the air before being slowly poured into the small gourd. "Don't waste them, I'll give them all to you." As she spoke, she placed the small gourd into the loop of Yuk's clothes. The woman finally came out, bowed to Zhou Yun, and turned to leave. After entering the exchange tower, she realized that this place was not simple, and naturally dared not underestimate it anymore. With only UK cultivating and no one else around, Zhou Yun was finally able to strengthen his abilities. He grasped the small black tower in his right hand, and golden array patterns appeared, with strands of golden light intertwining and enveloping the entire tower. A moment later, Xiao Bai's voice rang out. "Congratulations, Master, on completing the 5-fold enhancement and obtaining the Tier 5 superior acquired magic treasure, Void-Piercing Profound Tower." Zhou Yun's eyes lit up when he heard about the 5-fold enhancement. Only a 3-fold or greater enhancement could prevent this ancient treasure from dropping too much in level. And indeed, that's what happened. The grade dropped from mid-grade 6th rank to high-grade 5th rank, but it's still pretty good. The dull black pagoda in his palm had completely changed, now radiating a purplish gold luster, exuding an air of nobility and majesty. The pagoda's body was smooth and exquisite, with each curve a masterpiece of craftsmanship. The light around him was somewhat distorted, as if he might merge into the void at any moment. Zhou Yun held the void-breaking profound tower with satisfaction. As expected of a tower strengthened from the Qianquan void-stabilizing tower, even with its lower rank, it still possessed a certain degree of void manipulation ability. Click to see the effects of this broken void transmission tower. Item: Void-breaking tower. Type: Acquired magic treasure. Grade: Tier 5, Superior. Effects: Piercing the void can pierce the void, helping cultivators escape dangerous places or trapped by formations, allowing them to flee into the void. Profound understanding can absorb and store the wandering laws of heaven and earth. Allows cultivators to enter a profound understanding state during cultivation, accelerating their comprehension of the laws of heaven and earth. Aids in the breakthrough of nascent soul cultivators. This is really good. It can be auctioned off for now. Such a treasure should not be thrown into the exchange tower. Although the 5th floor is empty, the auction is the priority, and everything that is eligible for auction will be kept for the time being. Yuke's cultivation finally broke through to the 8th level of qi refining. After calming the spiritual energy in his body, he slowly opened his eyes. He stood up, walked to Zhou Yun, clasped his hands in a salute, and said, "Thank you, Senior." Zhou Yun waved his hand. "Go on with your work. Consider this your return gift for the Astrological Mysteries report." "Yes, Senior." UK, who was walking towards the exchange counter, stopped and looked at Zhou Yun. "Senior, my name is UK." Zhou Yun was taken aback, then nodded subconsciously. "UK, a good name." Seeing the other person's figure gradually enveloped in grey mist, he murmured, "UK, that doesn't sound like a normal person's name. Could this little guy be an assassin?" He shook his head and went back to his own business. He enhanced all the items that Wang Hao and the Golden Core female cultivator had exchanged and threw them into the exchange tower. At this moment, Wang Hao and the Golden Core female cultivator in the exchange tower witnessed a miraculous scene. Various colored light clusters kept streaking across the space, trailing long fiery tails as they continuously pierced into the void. Most of them were white or red light clusters. Wang Hao, who was on the 3rd floor, dragged his chubby body and ran down. When he caught up with the newly appeared red orb of light, he immediately understood. Is this replenishing the exchange tower with supplies? Looking up, he saw red orbs of light constantly flashing in the void and white orbs of light continuously falling into the next layer. What a magical place! He observed the magnificent scene with great interest and couldn't help but sigh in admiration. He waited until the scene ended before getting up and walking out of the tower. He could have left directly, but he felt he should say goodbye to Zhou Yun, because he had to be considerate of social etiquette. Seeing Zhou Yun resting in a chair, Wang Hao stepped forward and said, "Greetings, young Master Zhou. I've come to take my leave." Zhou Yun opened his eyes, gave Wang Hao a meaningful look, and said with a smile, "Not bad, huh?" Wang Hao broke out in a cold sweat under Zhou Yun's gaze and nervously wiped his forehead. He humbly replied, "It's all thanks to the Pengyun Token. See you next time." Zhou Yun didn't say much. Just as Wang Hao activated the Pengyun Token and his figure was about to disappear, he was given a reminder. No matter what, he was their first customer. The news of the Pengyun Order will spread sooner or later. He didn't say much, but given the Wang family head's abilities, he should be able to guess some of the meaning behind his words. The Pengyun Token is a valuable item. The legendary Pengyun Token is an even more valuable item. In the mouths of cultivators, the Pengyun Token will be deified. Once you obtain the Pengyun Token, you can enter a magical space filled with all sorts of miraculous elixirs, martial arts techniques, and rare and precious treasures. If anyone suspects you of possessing the Pengyun Token, you will face a manhunt from the entire cultivation world. Chapter 75: The auction begins. As Zhou Yun continued to enhance the item, he sensed a spatial fluctuation. It was that golden core female cultivator who left. He didn't pay much attention. His eyes were now fixed on the prompts on the panel. Good luck will always come. After so many enhancements, a tenfold enhancement has finally appeared again. Item: Shadowless Technique. Type: Movement Technique. Grade: Earth Level Top Grade. Effect: Steps without leaving a trace, merging with the silence of heaven and earth. Able to conceal oneself within the void, moving in a state of tranquility where all things merge with one's presence, leaving no trace. This movement technique was enhanced from the mid-grade yellow-level footwork manual that UK had exchanged for. It's a pity it's only a top-grade Earth-level item. It would be better if the enhanced version had a higher base level. I never expected it to be 10 times the original value. Zhou Yun shook his head. Sigh, we still can't worry too much. Examining the ink-black jade slip in his hand, he realized that this movement technique was undoubtedly the most effective against assassins. If we could attract 1000 Illusion Tower during the auction, that would be a good option. Not only will you not have to pay the other party a reward, but you might also get a lot of spirit stones in return. Let's talk about that later. I casually tossed it into the system repository. He raised his hand to look at UK approaching and smiled. Have you found something you like? UK scratched his head sheepishly. Well, I exchanged for a foundation establishment pill and some pills to improve my cultivation. Yes, cultivate diligently and take good care of the Pengyun Token. Yes, thank you for your care, senior. UK looked at Zhou Yun gratefully. If it weren't for the 30% discount, he wouldn't have had enough to exchange for the foundation establishment pill. Watching Yuk's departing figure, Zhou Yun stretched. It's finally over. Now everyone on Pengyun merchant ship is busy with their own things, so he's the only one who can sit here. I must find a way to break free from this situation in the future. We'll see. Zhou Yun clapped his hands and disappeared from the spot. The three of them left the Pengyun merchant ship as if they had just woken up from a dream. But looking at the Pengyun token in their hands, they were reminded that it was all real. What exactly is that place? The Pengyun Token. The golden core female cultivator looked at the token in her hand and subconsciously tightened her grip. Thinking about everything I saw in that space. The shock on his face had not yet subsided. Regardless, this is an opportunity that belongs to me. UK carefully placed the token into her storage bag, but when she reached into her bosom, she touched a strange little gourd. This is... Looking at the small gourd in his hand, he had no recollection of ever having such a thing. Carefully uncorking the tea leaves, a familiar aroma of tea wafts out. Senior, UK said softly with a grateful expression. Since he joined the ranks of assassins, Zhou Yun has undoubtedly been the one who helped him the most. In particular, it helped him extract the remnant soul of his nascent soul and obtained a 4th-grade low-level Xian soul-nourishing wood, which made his divine sense stronger than that of other cultivators of the same level under the nourishment of the Xian soul-nourishing wood. Thinking of Zhou Yun's reminder and the power of the Pengyun Token, his expression gradually calmed down. He is no longer a novice who has just entered the world of cultivation. The dangers of exposure are naturally clear. Among the first batch of recipients of the Pengyun Token, the Wang family reaped the greatest rewards. At this moment, Wang Hao was solemnly instructing Wang Wenyan. This is an opportunity to change the fate of my Wang family, and we must not reveal it at this time. Yes, ancestor. Wang Wenyan had already learned everything from the ancestor, and indeed, everything related to Pengyun merchant ship was extremely important. It was right for me to tell my ancestor immediately. I will not carry this token with me at all times. If something happens to me one day, then you will have to lead the Wang family on its way. No, ancestor. Wang Wenyan quickly reassured him. Wang Hao raised his hand to interrupt him as he continued speaking. He sighed. Alas, who knows if an accident will happen. This was actually leaving the Wang family a way out. The Pengyun Token was the Wang family's hope. As long as the Pengyun token is still valid, I am not very important. Especially when recalling Zhou Yun's warning before leaving, the more I think about it, the more frightened I become. In the near future, chaos surrounding the Pengyun token will surely erupt in various places. I need to rethink my original plan to cultivate the Wang family. There should be no situation where the family's power increases rapidly, otherwise it will inevitably arouse suspicion. Whether it's true or not, it will eventually cause trouble. The two then discussed the Pengyun token again, each proposing a reasonable solution. In the time leading up to the auction, Peng Yunling received several more guests. However, there are not many cultivators who have obtained the Pengyun token at present. A total of 1,000 Pengyun tokens were distributed, but only 7 or 8 people actually showed up. On this day, everyone from Pengyun merchant ship gathered together, because it was the day of the Pengyun auction. Zhou Yun waved his hand. Walk. Reaching the bow of the ship, I looked down at the figures darting about. He couldn't help but sigh. This is probably the last time Pengyun merchant ship will hold an outdoor auction. He has now completed the initial accumulation and has enough auction points to expand the internal space. Uncle Zhou is organizing the preliminary procedures for the auction, and Yu Tong and Ji Ming are becoming more and more proficient. Looking at the gradually improving Pengyun merchant ship, Zhou Yun revealed a gratified smile. Pengyun merchant ship is destined to be famous throughout the entire cultivation world. More and more cultivators are gathering at the Zhonghai Tianshu Square, including many from other places. Is this the Pengyun merchant ship? It looks quite ordinary. As long as the auction items are not ordinary, that's fine. I heard that the last final item in the auction sold for 1.5 billion mid-grade spirit stones. We just came to see what was going on. Who isn't? In the end, it all comes down to the performance of the nascent soul and void refinement masters. Their guess was right. There are indeed many powerful figures hiding outside these days. The top floor of Wanbage. Luo Ingyue, who used to sit in the first seat, is now sitting respectfully below. Elder, please have some tea. A void refinement expert was respectfully serving tea to the old man above. The old man glanced at her indifferently. He said softly, "Tell me what happened." It finally happened. Luo Ingyue had already anticipated it from the moment she started cooperating with Congming King. Wanbage is a chamber of commerce, so naturally it has strict rules and regulations. Elder Shi is the elder in charge of the Wanbao Pavilion in the southern region, possessing formidable strength at the mid-stage of the integration realm. The appearance of Pengyun merchant ship was too sudden. Although the auction was amazing, it has only been held once in Congming Royal City. I plan to see how the second auction goes and whether it has any real value. Luo Ingyue blurted out all her words in one breath, words she had rehearsed countless times in her mind. There are loopholes, but they're not a big deal. This will not be repeated, old master, she said softly. Hearing the elder's words, Luo Ingyue finally breathed a sigh of relief. This incident was not a big deal and did not damage Wanbage's reputation or interests. In comparison, shutting down the teleportation array is the most serious issue. However, since the elder didn't ask any further questions, she naturally wouldn't say anything more. Chapter 76: The Arrival of the Zhuge family. As the auction drew closer, many cultivators spotted the figures of some important people. It's quite lively here. It seems like there are quite a few high-level cultivators here. Stop looking. People from all 3 great dynasties have come, and I've also seen quite a few members of major families from the southern region. Wow, there are so many big shots at this Pengyun auction. Isn't this normal? Last time, the final item in the auction really made Pengyun merchant ships stand out. The crowd discussed amongst themselves, their faces showing admiration. These are important figures who rarely get to see each other, and this trip has broadened their horizons. Pengyun merchant ship is truly extraordinary. 2 people were talking quietly in the crowd. Is this the Pengyun merchant ship you mentioned last time? The person asking the question was an elderly man with a white beard, who looked very energetic. He exudes a simple and natural charm, blending perfectly into his surroundings. Even people standing next to him would subconsciously overlook him. Yes, Elder Gong. Zhuge Xiuming looked up at the Pengyun merchant ship and said slowly with a solemn expression, "This is the first time I have ever been unable to detect any trace of this using the Xuanji technique." Zhuge Xiuming recalled the shock he felt when he first saw the Pengyun merchant ship in Wanghai City. They couldn't even glimpse the slightest of the Zhuge family's mysterious techniques. Upon returning to his family, he immediately reported the matter. That's how this trip to the Zongming came about. Old Master Gong nodded. He had naturally also noticed the ship's extraordinary nature. With his combined cultivation level, he could see the trajectory of evolution in anything, but this Pengyun merchant ship seemed to not belong to this space. Raise your right hand and slowly perform the manipulation technique. Zhuge Xiuming, who was standing to the side, felt that something was amiss and wanted to stop Gong Lao's actions. Gradually, he noticed that old Master Gong's face was pale and his forehead was covered in sweat. My fingers suddenly froze, as if bound by some force. Snap! Puff! Zhuge Xiuming watched in horror as Elder Gong broke his own finger. Seeing Elder Gong collapse to the ground, coughing up blood, Zhuge Xiuming asked worriedly, "Elder Gong? What happened?" Elder Gong did not speak, but instead took out a pill and swallowed it. He sat cross-legged, quickly calming the injuries in his body. After waiting for a moment, with the help of Zhuge Xiuming, Elder Gong slowly stood up. At this moment, his face was pale and weak, and he had long lost the energetic appearance he had at the beginning. Old Master Gong waved his hand. "I was arrogant. The other party had no intention of harming me. It was I who didn't know when to advance or retreat." Ha ha ha. Looking at Elder Gong, who suddenly burst into laughter, Zhuge Xiuming's expression was filled with worry. Was he really all right? To glimpse the secrets of heaven is like trying to see a leopard through a tube. After arriving in the southern region, I've gotten quite used to this comfortable and peaceful life, and I almost forgot the cultivation rules of my Zhuge family's mysterious techniques. Upon hearing the elder's words, Zhuge Xiuming was momentarily dazed. His Zhuge family had indeed forgotten the brutal competition they faced in the central region. Today's younger generations are able to grow up safely under the protection of their families. Anyone who knows the Zhuge family will give them face. The family members only know that the Zhuge family is a powerful, reclusive family in the southern region. But who remembers the Zhuge family's glory in the central region? The southern region is a remote place in the Shen Tian cultivation world. Even if you stand at the top, the void refinement stage is the end. He looked at Elder Gong with a worried expression. When Elder Gong and his generation pass away, the Zhuge family will gradually disappear into the long river of history. Don't overthink it. Why do you think we fled to the southern region for refuge? Old Master Gong noticed the younger man's worries and patted him on the shoulder to comfort him. It is an ancestral rule that the Zhuge family must not leave the southern region unless a Mahayana cultivator appears within the clan. It's naturally an ancestral precept. Otherwise, with the strength of the Zhuge family, why would they be hiding in the remote southern region? Upon hearing the other party's words, Elder Gong's expression turned serious. The ancestral precepts were established by the first ancestor of our Zhuge family. None of you know that they were actually a glimpse of heavenly secrets that our ancestor had glimpsed for our Zhuge family. His gaze drifted towards the Pengyun merchant ship, and he felt that the secret of heaven had already appeared, and it was related to the Pengyun merchant ship. So, despite being seriously injured, I tried to find some trace of the Pengyun merchant ship, but in the end, I failed. But at this moment, he was extremely excited. The more extraordinary Pengyun merchant ship was, the more plausible his guesses became. Amidst the lively atmosphere, the Pengyun auction officially began. Looking at the crowded people below, Zhou Yun lifted the restrictions around the Pengyun merchant ship, and grey mist spread out. Before Zhou Yun could even speak, the numerous cultivators rushed headlong into the mist. The outsider looked surprised and curiously observed the cultivators around him. In the end, he could only helplessly follow behind the crowd. Not bad, even a nascent soul cultivator has appeared this time, but I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. Zhou Yun nodded in satisfaction. However, this time he reduced the number of items to be auctioned, and he simply couldn't gather 10 items. Now that we have the Pengyun Token, there's no need to auction off some less valuable treasures anymore. It's better to put them in the exchange tower to replenish our inventory. It's likely that there won't be any junk items at Pengyun auctions in the future. Yu Tong, with her fox-like steps, looked down at the cultivators with a charming smile. Bang! The Pengyun auction is officially open. Please welcome our first item. With a wave of her arm, Yu Tong revealed a fist-sized, deep blue crystal above her. It is semi-transparent, appearing and disappearing in the shadows. Inside, wisps of blue light move about, shimmering with an eerie glow. All the cultivators' attention was drawn to the illusory blue crystal, which seemed to possess an alluring magic. The cultivators only managed to break free when Yu Tong's hand brushed across the surface of the Taixu Xuanshen Crystal. After everyone regained consciousness, they were all filled with lingering fear. It was so eerie. Just now, my mind felt like it had entered a blue ocean. You're lucky, I almost drowned. What exactly is this thing? I don't understand, I don't know. Compared to them, the nascent soul cultivators stared intently at the illusory crystal with shining eyes, and they were naturally not easily affected. However, it was also roughly determined that this thing possessed extremely pure divine soul power. This is a really good item. I was definitely right to come to the Pengyun auction. Seeing everyone's reaction, Yu Tong slowly introduced herself. A 6th grade mid-level Taixu Xuanshen Crystal, formed by absorbing and condensing fragmented divine souls that wander in the void. This is a highly pure divine soul crystal. Its function is also extremely simple: to enhance the cultivator's soul power and repair damage to the cultivator's soul. Of course, it can also be used as a material for refining weapons. After hearing Yu Tong's words, the many cultivators' sense of mystery about the Taixu Profound God Crystal was shattered. Sigh, so it turns out it's just a stone that enhances the soul. Indeed, it's similar to the qi gathering pills we use for cultivation. One enhances spiritual energy, the other enhances the soul. Your brains are truly amazing. It's a mid-grade 6th order brain. A mid-grade 6th order stone is also a stone. Chapter 77 Taixu Xuanshen Crystal. The crowd argued amongst themselves, but most people still thought that the Taixu Profound God Crystal was only at the 6th level, which was quite frightening. Some people even compare it to the qi gathering pill, which enhances spiritual energy. Can they be the same? However, their argument is irrelevant. The bigwigs have been eagerly awaiting it for a long time. If these cultivators who called the Taixu Profound God Crystal a 6th order stone stood in front of them, they would surely be slapped to death. Do you know the value of a pure soul crystal? Do you know how difficult it is for a cultivator to improve their divine soul? 6th tier mid-grade Taixu Profound God Crystal. Starting price is 10 million mid-grade spirit stones. Each bid must be at least 1 million mid-grade spirit stones. Auction begins. Bang! Yu Tong smiled at the assembled cultivators and struck the auction hammer. This single blow silenced all dissenting voices. Outrageous. A starting bid of 10 million mid-grade spirit stones? I'm speechless. I still don't understand. The starting bid, which was beyond their comprehension, left them utterly bewildered. The subsequent bidding war among high-level cultivators only fueled their doubts. Did this thing have effects they didn't understand? 15 million. 17 million. 20 million. The crowd argued heatedly, and the price rose rapidly during the auction. The effect is pretty good. Zhou Yun looked at everyone's reactions and said in a low voice. As expected, his decision was correct. Auctions are for rare and precious items. Ordinary items don't serve much purpose other than prolonging the auction. Uncle Zhou stood to the side and glanced at Zhou Yun with a puzzled look. He understood his young master less and less. However, looking at the many cultivators outside, they knew that Pengyun merchant ship was thriving. Young master, have some tea. Smelling the faint fragrance of tea, Zhou Yun praised. Uncle Zhou, your skills are truly exceptional. Young master, you flatter me, Uncle Zhou said modestly. But I was still very happy inside, and the wrinkles on my face all came together. He took a slow sip, thinking of the bitter tea he had brewed. He sighed inwardly. This is truly an art. Even though my process was correct, the taste is worlds apart. As Zhou Yun sighed, the auction price had already reached 30 million mid-grade spirit stones. And it continues to rise. Lower-level cultivators don't understand the effects of the Taixu Profound God Crystal, but higher-level cultivators understand it all too well. This is especially true for some nascent soul cultivators who are stuck at a critical bottleneck. However, it is not easy for a nascent soul cultivator to take it down. 50 million. 51 million. 60 million. The sudden surge in prices has made some people hesitate. But some people are gritting their teeth and persevering. If they miss out on this amazing item, they'll really miss out. They have to try it no matter what. 61 million. 70 million. The room fell silent for a moment, and everyone could see the imposing presence of the bidder. Zhou Yun looked over in confusion. It was an unfamiliar female cultivator in the late stage of the nascent soul realm, wearing a white crying face mask. However, upon seeing the familiar figure of Wu Ying beside the other party, he roughly guessed the other party's identity. The 1,000 Illusions Tower? Here to collect your reward. Zhou Yun shook his head. He didn't have any items to pay for the service. However, he suddenly felt that he could get something for free. The scene fell silent for a moment. The woman in the white mask kept her eyes fixed on the Taixu Xuanshen Crystal. This thing was too important to her, and she had to get it. Wu Ying stood quietly to the side. Lord Qianhuan cultivated illusion techniques, and this 6th order pure soul crystal could directly elevate the Lord's soul to the void refinement level. It will be of great help both for the next stage of cultivation and for breaking through to the void refinement stage. Moreover, their 1,000 Illusions Tower desperately needs a void refinement expert to keep things in order. Otherwise, they would be hesitant and timid even when trying to enter the imperial city to assassinate a golden core prince. 80 million. Qianhuan and Wu Ying tensed up at the same time, and immediately raised the price by 10 million mid-grade spirit stones. This is no ordinary work by a nascent soul cultivator. Refining the void? Fit. Impossible. How could this auction attract a nascent soul cultivator, especially in the southern region? Qianhuan whispered. I stopped myself from letting my mind wander. 81 million. 100 million. Qianhuan swayed slightly, her fingers clenching tightly. This feeling of being pressured is really unpleasant. He immediately relaxed. The other party's bid was too high. He was afraid he couldn't win the bid for the Taixu Profound God Crystal. Noticing Lord Qianhuan's disappointment, Wu Ying gently comforted him. My lord, it's all right. We still have a partnership with Pengyun merchant ships. After the auction, we can purchase directly. Qianhuan looked up at the Pengyun merchant ship, her eyes filled with hope. Can I really buy it directly? This is a mid-grade 6th-tier spiritual item, and they've only completed half of their mission. Bang! 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 Yutong announced loudly. Congratulations, fellow Daoist, on successfully acquiring a 6th-grade mid-level Taixu Xuanshen Crystal for 100 million mid-grade spirit stones. The transaction was completed, but the crowd's emotions were completely stirred by the extremely high transaction price. Now, faced with a price of 100 million mid-grade spirit stones, they dare not have the slightest doubt. Oh my God, I was so ignorant. I can't believe I would compare a chi-gathering pill to such a divine object. I cried from envy. Let's just quietly watch the show. Watching the show suits us best. Amidst the murmurs of the crowd, Elder Gong happily rubbed the Taixu Profound divine crystal he had just obtained. This trip was truly worthwhile. We unexpectedly obtained such a treasure. Zhuge Xiuming also exclaimed from the side. Indeed, the Zhuge family cultivates the mysterious technique, which requires extremely high spiritual strength. Looking at the Taixu Xuanshen Crystal in the elder's hand. Moreover, the quality of this pure soul crystal is even better than I expected. Good. On the other side, the Wanbeige expert who had reached the fusion realm was also quite satisfied with the first item at the Pengyun auction. He even gave Luo Ingyue a cold snort. Snort. Such an auction actually requires testing its value. Isn't its value obvious? Luo Ingyue stood to the side with her head down, seemingly oblivious to the elder's displeasure. He muttered to himself, feeling distressed. I should have never agreed to King Tsongming's request. Suddenly, the elder's voice rang in my ears. Afterwards, compile the information on Pengyun merchant ship and publish it in the Astrological Mysteries Report. Southern region, as soon as possible. As he explained, his tone gradually became dissatisfied. You don't want all the cultivators in the southern region to know about the existence of the Pengyun merchant ship, while our Wanbao pavilion hasn't even released any related information yet, do you? Luo Ingyue broke out in a cold sweat. That would directly cause the cultivators to question the capabilities of the Myriad Treasures Pavilion. If the elders define things this way, then my days ahead will be difficult. Do I still want to climb higher? Rest assured, elder, nothing like this will happen again this time. Chapter 78 Profound Understanding. After the first round of auctions ended, Yu Tong waited a moment before taking out the second item. Looking at the familiar blue lotus on the auction stage. Before Yu Tong could even introduce them, the crowd had already started discussing it. It's the Misty Sea Lotus. It's a treasure. I never expected that Pengyun merchant ship would have such a thing. You all know each other? Of course, I'm telling you. Yu Tong gave a brief introduction to the effects of the Misty Sea Lotus. Although most of the cultivators who participated in the previous auction knew this, weren't there many outside cultivators here? Only Zhou Yun looked at the Misty Lotus on the auction stage with a sigh in his eyes. This was something he brought out to make up the numbers, just to complete the 5 auction items. Consider it as giving Golden Core and Nascent Soul cultivators a sense of participation. However, it will most likely be obtained by a Nascent Soul cultivator, since this time the Misty Sea Heart Lotus is a mid-grade 4th order lotus. The next moment, Yu Tong also emphasized this point. This time, the Mist Sea Lotus has reached the level of mid-grade 4th rank, which is extremely effective even for Nascent Soul cultivators. As soon as he finished speaking, the expressions on everyone's faces were all different. The Golden Core cultivators all sighed and wanted to rush up and shut the auctioneer up. How are they supposed to compete with Nascent Soul cultivators? On the other hand, the Nascent Soul cultivators were excited. Finally, there were items that allowed them to participate. Everyone started rubbing their hands together, just waiting for the bid to be placed. Looking at the excited expressions on everyone's faces, Yu Tong announced, the 4th grade mid-level Misty Sea Heart Lotus, starting price is 5 million mid-level spirit stones, and each bid must be at least 1 million mid-level spirit stones. The auction begins. Bang! The cultivators, who had been waiting impatiently, immediately began to bid. For a moment, no one could hear the specific price clearly, and the scene was extremely chaotic. But one thing is certain. Prices are rising rapidly. 10 million. The scene fell silent for a moment. Such a price had deterred half of the Nascent Soul cultivators. As for the Golden Core cultivators, they had long been swept away by the tide of bidding. 12 million. 15 million. Zhou Yun seemed quite enthusiastic. Although auctioning high-level rare items could showcase the prestige of Pengyun Auction House, only a few people could afford to bid. The atmosphere at the auction was nowhere near as impressive as that of the Lotus in the Sea of Fog auction. The onlookers below were also thoroughly enjoying themselves. If all goes as expected, the final transaction price will be around 40 million. Similar to the mid-grade 4th tier Xian Tianjing Xian Lotus auction before, the price was much higher last time because of the appearance of the Tsongming King. Thinking of this, Zhou Yun glanced at the cultivators below with a puzzled look. King Songming was absent from this auction. Could it be due to the influence of the last incident? Auction prices continue to rise. 20 million. 25 million. An excited roar rang out, raising the price by 5 million, intending to crush the opponent in one fell swoop. However, this plan clearly did not succeed. 26 million. The price immediately followed, and no cultivator would give up a spiritual item that could improve their cultivation aptitude. 27 million. 30 million. The two consecutive price increases piqued Zhou Yun's curiosity, prompting him to look over. He was a thin, late-stage nascent soul elder. Judging from his attire, he was likely the patriarch of a nascent soul family in the royal city. However, the 30 million mid-grade spirit stones did not deter others. 31 million. 40 million. The old man seemed to understand that it would be difficult to win the Lotus of the Misty Sea without going all out, so he went all in at once. Let's see if fate smiles upon him. Bang, bang. He felt as if the air around him had frozen, and he could only hear the sound of his own heartbeat. His eyes were fixed on the auction stage. Bang. 1. Bang. 2. Bang. 3. Silently counting the strikes of the auction hammer, my tense body finally relaxed as the hammer fell for the third time. The transaction was completed, and the old man looked excitedly at the Misty Sea Lotus in his hand. However, compared to the old man's excitement, the cultivators present were somewhat puzzled. Have you noticed the problem? King Songming hasn't come. There was speculation in the first round, and now it's confirmed. Probably influenced by the last incident, I wonder which cultivator got the better deal. Yes, we're really lucky. The Shen Tian Pure Heart Lotus, which is of the same grade as the Misty Sea Heart Lotus, was auctioned for 60 million last time. Unbeknownst to them, the Songming King was currently calming the spiritual energy within his body. Although he had the upper hand in the last battle with Elder Wuji, it was because his cultivation technique incorporated the latter half of the core technique of Wuji Palace. The hidden crisis was triggered by the old man Wuji's secret technique. Moreover, with a large number of outside cultivators now arriving in the royal city, King Songming may have taken this into consideration and decided not to come. As everyone speculated, Yu Tong glanced down and took out the third item to be auctioned. The Tower of Breaking Through the Void and Connecting to the Mysterious. As his hand brushed across the dark blue-green pagoda, a pale blue light immediately spread out, and the fluorescent glow attracted everyone's attention. What's this? I witnessed the evolution of my cultivation technique. Quickly, concentrate your mind. This is an opportunity. How amazing! What kind of treasure is this? His companion slapped him hard on the back of the head. Cultivation. Why worry about these things? The cultivator below sat cross-legged, focusing his mind to guide the dissipating azure light. Lower-level cultivators were unaware of this, but nascent soul cultivators who had begun to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth were all too familiar with it. It's a free-flowing law of heaven and earth, so pure. A magical artifact acquired after birth? If I had such a treasure to aid my cultivation speed would increase by at least 30%. Sigh, it's quite difficult to get it. The person who offered 100 million mid-grade spirit stones earlier doesn't seem to be a nascent soul cultivator. It's really quite difficult. This auction not only has cultivators at the void refinement stage, but also powerful cultivators at the integration stage. With a slight smile in her jade-like eyes, she looked at the dark blue-green 9-story pagoda in front of her and slowly spoke. The 5th grade superior acquired magic treasure, the void-breaking and profound tower, has only two main functions. First, void breaker. When we are trapped by an array or go deep into dangerous territory, we can use this tower's ability to escape into the void. Of course, there are still limitations. It is only effective against arrays of the same level without special effects. We cannot rely on it completely. Everyone understands this principle. Surely no one would think that having a magical artifact means they can foolishly try to pass through a 7th or 8th tier magic array. They died without even knowing how they died. However, its effect of breaking through the void is quite good. Seeing that everyone understood what she meant, Yu Tong continued. Second, as you all just saw, that is Tongxian. Yu Tong swept her gaze across the crowd. I think its most important ability is its ability to connect with the profound. Chapter 79: The Astounding Transaction Price. Yu Tong didn't keep everyone in suspense any longer and spoke directly. The void-breaking and profound connecting tower can absorb and temporarily store the laws of heaven and earth that are free in the void. Cultivators can use the tower to enter the profound connecting state during cultivation, making their comprehension of the laws of heaven and earth twice as efficient. The laws of heaven and earth are too distant for most cultivators present. They are things that only those in the nascent soul stage can vaguely sense, and those in the deity stage can begin formal cultivation. After Yu Tong finished her introduction, the nascent soul cultivators were already itching to understand. Heaven knows how difficult it was for them to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth. Now that a power bank has appeared, I'm so envious. Let's get started. This is my destined treasure. This is mine, and I must cherish it. Oh no, I didn't bring enough spirit stones. There's something wrong with this auction house. Such a treasure isn't even the grand finale. The one who probably wanted it most was the nascent soul female cultivator from Thousand Illusions Tower. She had already missed out on the Taixu Profound God Crystal, but unexpectedly, she encountered a postnatal magic treasure that could help her break through to the void refinement stage. Standing next to her, Wu Ying opened her mouth, but ultimately chose not to speak. His master, Chen Huan, is currently in a frenzy and probably won't listen to what he's saying. Since the assassin organization was besieged by the 3 imperial cities, the word refining void has haunted the entire Thousand Illusion Tower like a demon. I hope my parents won't be too disappointed later. After the bidding just now, both of them felt that there might be quite a few hidden big shots at this auction. However, with his eyes now filled with the void-breaking profound tower, Lord Shenhuan was clearly no longer as calm as usual. This gave everyone ample time to think. Yu Tong's gentle voice slowly rang out. A 5th grade superior acquired magic treasure, the void-breaking profound tower. Starting price is 10 million mid-grade spirit stones. Each bid must be at least 1 million mid-grade spirit stones. The auction begins. Bang! The crisp sound of the auction hammer echoed throughout the hall. The bidding below erupted in a flurry of noise, creating a somewhat chaotic atmosphere. The bidding gradually stabilized only after someone suddenly raised the price. 20 million. 30 million. 40 million. The increase of 10 million mid-grade spirit stones stunned everyone. This was the first time such a thing had been seen at an auction. It was as if all the cultivators bidding were possessed, acting without the slightest hesitation. They've gone mad. They've all gone mad. This auction is so confusing that even a casual observer can't understand it. Is there any fellow cultivator who can do a post-mortem analysis? Yes, fellow Daoist Bao. The auction is over. See you at Qingyiweifang. The happiest person was Zhou Yun, who was trying hard to suppress his laughter, and even the hand holding the teacup was trembling slightly. Tiske, this is really nice. If only Faddy Wong's little black tower wasn't so badly damaged, the level of this void-breaking profound tower could be raised another level. Hearing the bidding of 80 million mid-grade spirit stones, he couldn't suppress the smile on his lips. While everyone was bidding, the 2 powerful figures who had joined forces both looked puzzled. In their understanding, how could an acquired magical artifact have such powerful functions, capable of absorbing even the laws of nature? Such a powerful magical artifact is something that no one in the cultivation world today can create. The ability of this void-breaking profound tower seems to belong to ancient treasures found in ruins. If Zhou Yun knew their guesses, he would definitely praise them. As expected of a nascent soul cultivator, his knowledge is indeed extensive. This broken void profound tower was indeed strengthened from a broken ancient treasure. Otherwise, the price wouldn't be so high. It can't be measured by the price of ordinary acquired magic weapons. whether it stemmed from curiosity or the powerful abilities of the void-breaking tower. With the two powerful cultivators now engaged in combat, the battle among the lesser cultivators has come to an end. 300 million. 400 million. 500 million. The nascent soul cultivators, who had been fiercely bidding just moments before, were caught off guard by this move and stared in disbelief at the continuous bidding. Some cultivators, unwilling to give up, raised the price several more times, only to be quickly outbid. This includes the nascent soul female cultivators of the Thousand Illusions Pavilion. Lord Shenhuan, are you all right? Wu Ying asked worriedly. At this moment, Shenhuan's body swayed slightly, and her hands clenched tightly. This is so unfair. My lord, calm down. This is the Pengyun auction house, Wu Ying quickly reminded him. Don't be fooled by their reputation as the top assassin organization in the southern region. They are now someone that neither side can afford to mess with. Sigh. Shenhuan sighed, her usual radiance gone. She finally managed to get out of the house, only to be harshly taught a lesson by reality. It turns out she's nothing at all. No one knew what the nascent soul expert was thinking. The bidding price had now reached 1 billion mid-grade spirit stones. The onlookers at the scene went absolutely crazy. Qingyi Weifang brothers, let's go. Wanhua Pavilion brothers, let's go. Ting's Huxuan brothers, let's go. Jufialu food stall, anyone want to join? Get out of here, get in line. He. Ha ha ha. Zhou Yun finally couldn't help but laugh out loud. He never expected this item to fetch such a high price. Congratulations, young master. Uncle Zhou also had a faint smile on his face. If the young master was happy, he was happy too. The price might be even higher than that, Zhou Yun said softly to Uncle Zhou. Turning his head to look at the void-breaking tower on the auction stage, he saw it being frantically bid up by two nascent soul cultivators. He figured out the problem and began to examine the acquired magic weapon with a scrutinizing gaze. Is this really an acquired magic weapon? He murmured softly. It was originally a 6th-tier ancient treasure, but its level dropped due to severe damage. No matter how you look at it, this thing is not simple. Zhou Yun shook his head. As long as it fetches a good price at auction, let whoever gets it study it. 2 billion mid-grade spirit stones. The moment the price was announced, the entire room fell silent. On the Wanbage side, old Master Shi, who was sitting at the head of the table, shook his head. It's not worth it anymore. No matter how powerful it is, it's still just a 5th-tier acquired magic weapon. As the gavel struck the Jedi auctioneer, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. The tension had been immense. The feeling of complete silence and frozen air. It made their whole bodies tense up. Congratulations, fellow Daoist, on acquiring the 5th-tier superior grade acquired magic treasure, the void-breaking profound tower, for the price of 2 billion mid-grade spirit stones. After the transaction was completed, Elder Gong held the void-breaking profound pagoda in both hands and examined it carefully. Zhuge Xiuming, who was standing nearby, also moved closer, wanting to see what this thing was that had made the clan elder spend so many spirit stones. Ha! Gradually, doubt appeared on old Master Gong's face. The tower clearly bears traces of ancient treasures, but most of it has been covered by new lore inscriptions. I couldn't help but start calculating with my fingers. Zhuge Xiuming, who was standing nearby, was startled and quickly pulled the clan elder back. This old man is really reckless. His injuries haven't even healed yet. What a forgetful old man. Chapter 80 The Resilient Master of the Thousand Illusions Pavilion. Elder, this pagoda now belongs to us. We can study it at any time. There's no need to rush, Zhuge Xiuming advised, his words tinged with urgency. Elder Gong sighed regretfully and put away the void-breaking and profound tower. He looked at Zhuge Xiuming with a pleased expression. It was I who was too hasty. I wasn't as thoughtful as you in handling matters. Hearing the elder's words, Zhuge Xiuming finally breathed a sigh of relief. The crowd was still enthusiastically discussing the astonishing transaction price. At this moment, someone suddenly voiced a question. It's so cold. Do you feel the air getting colder? I could feel it. It sent shivers down my spine. My spiritual energy has slowed down. Look at the auction stage. Everyone's eyes turned towards the Pengyun merchant ship. A beam of cool, white light poured down from above, striking the mist and creating shimmering frost. At the very center of the auction stage, a snow ginseng, as if carved from millennia-old ice, emitted a faint glow. It was crystal clear, pure and flawless, with its roots stretching out freely. Any monk who sees it for the first time will exclaim from the bottom of his heart, "It's so beautiful." Every line and texture is filled with the favor bestowed upon it by heaven and earth. Although no one knows what this medicinal herb is or what its effects are. But that doesn't stop them from appreciating it. A clear, melodious voice, imbued with spiritual power, rang in everyone's ears. Fellow Taoists, this is the fourth item up for auction. Yutong gently stroked the thin, translucent leaves of the snow ginseng in front of her and slowly introduced it. 5th grade mid-level, Tianshan snow ginseng, born in the core of an extremely cold land, can only be nurtured by absorbing the essence of heaven and earth for 10,000 years. It contains the purest power of ice and moonlight. Its effects are mainly twofold. Yutong looked up and scanned the crowd. First, soul suppression. With the assistance of Tianshan snow ginseng, no matter how powerful one's inner demons are, or how restless one's soul is, they can be instantly calmed. It is also the best protective treasure for cultivators to cultivate techniques and break through realms. A sly glint flashed in her jade-like eyes. I believe fellow cultivators understand its value. It can be used to nurture future generations of one's family and also to aid in one's own cultivation. The crowd's gazes burned with fervor at Yutong's words. This Tianshan snow ginseng was indeed a rare treasure for cultivation. Even though they didn't yet know its second effect, its value was being amplified infinitely. The results would have been good, but Pengyun Auction House has always been committed to honest auctions. Yutong sighed. This heavenly snow ginseng has already been harvested, and its cultivation conditions are extremely difficult. Once you fellow Taoists obtain it, you can only treat it as a consumable. Each use will consume the essence of ice and moonlight it contains, and once it is used up, it will lose its effect. But Yutong's tone shifted abruptly, causing the cultivator who had just been lamenting to pause in surprise. Tianshan snow ginseng has a second effect, prolonging life. These two words were like a boulder thrown into the crowd, instantly causing a stir among them. Cultivators spend their entire lives fighting against fate, so they cannot afford to ignore anything that can prolong their lives. The crowd began to discuss it. Is it for extending lifespan? Probably not. It's probably something like stabilizing the injuries. However, this Tianshan snow ginseng is a 5th grade rare and precious herb. Who knows what its specific effects are? Yes, the 5th rank corresponds to the nascent soul stage. Let's just watch the show. Yutong didn't let everyone speculate too much, and said softly, as long as a cultivator has a breath left, the heavenly mountain snow ginseng can perfectly seal that wisp of life, keeping the physical body and soul immortal for 1,000 years. In the fight against the heavenly Tao, it is considered a top-grade life-extending elixir. Of course, the higher the realm, the shorter the sealing time. As Yutong finished speaking, the onlookers exchanged bewildered glances, realizing that the life-extending effect seemed rather useless. Is this effect truly useful? It can neither extend lifespan nor heal injuries. However, this time no one said it was inferior to the healing pill. The items at Pengyun auction are quite strange. They might think they're useless, but who knows that those big shots know their purpose. To avoid being proven wrong, everyone kept quiet. I'll go to Qingyi Weifang tonight to listen to other people's explanations. This time they really learned their lesson. Cultivators above the nascent soul stage all understood the purpose of this thing. On the Wanbage side, Luo Yingyue looked excitedly at Elder Shi. Elder, this thing will definitely fetch a high price in the central region. We must acquire it. A smile also appeared on old Shi's lips. It is indeed a rare treasure. Although its level is a bit low, which of those major sects doesn't have its own secret techniques to continue cultivating this Tianshan snow lotus? Luo Yingyue also thought of this and nodded, saying, when its level reaches the 6th or 7th rank, its effect will be enormous. It can be used as a protective item for the sect's foundation. Old Master, she nodded. The reason why the major powers in the central region can exist for thousands of years is because their core areas contain countless powerful ancestors. Generation after generation, our ancestors entered the secluded cultivation grounds, all so that they could use their last bit of strength to protect the sect. Ultimately, the ways of heaven are merciless, and most cultivators die quietly while in seclusion. Such items, capable of preserving life force and ensuring the continuation of a sect's legacy, are highly sought after by all factions in the central region. As long as our ancestors are still alive, even if the sect declines, it will still be feared by hostile forces and will not be bullied by anyone. At that moment, Yu Tong's voice rang out. 5th grade mid-level, Tianshan Snow Ginseng. Starting price is 10 million mid-level spirit stones. Each bid must be at least 1 million mid-level spirit stones. Auction begins. Bang! The sound of the auction hammer echoed throughout the hall. Regardless of the second effect, the first effect is undeniably powerful. Every time a cultivator breaks through a major realm, they will experience a tribulation of inner demons. This heavenly snow ginseng is of the 5th tribulation level, and can be used by nascent soul and transformation god levels. Therefore, the bidding was chaotic at this time, and the nascent soul cultivators knew that their chances of winning the bid were slim. But he still had a do-or-die attitude, bidding wildly within his means. Some people didn't even have that many spirit stones, yet they kept raising the price. Their faces showed resentment, knowing that the final transaction price would be much higher, and they all held the mentality of shouting but not wanting any spirit stones. 30 million. 32 million. 35 million. It wasn't until the nascent soul cultivator raised the price that the noisy environment quieted down considerably. 50 million. 60 million. 70 million. In the crowd, Wu Ying looked at Lord Shenhuan beside him, who was once again eager to make a move, and sighed helplessly. My parents are really tough. They've been warned twice already, but they still haven't come to terms with reality. This is clearly not something they can obtain. Chapter 81 The Zhuge Family's Regret. 100 million. 110 million. 120 million. Everyone was bidding with a hint of madness, eager to snatch the item up as quickly as possible. Therefore, they are extremely decisive when bidding. 200 million. The sudden price increase only paused the bidding briefly, but did not affect the bidding process. Instead, prices also increased. They realized they might as well raise the price to the bottom all at once, before the big shots could react. Take it down quickly. 300 million. 400 million. 500 million. Chen Huan's expression was tense. She was the one who raised the price just now, but she didn't expect so many people to still be vying for it, and raising the price by the same large margin as her. 1 billion. This shout seemed to have used up all her strength. The surroundings quieted down, but the atmosphere only made her feel worse. We must succeed, we must win. Chen Huan muttered to herself, her fingers clenching tightly, and fine beads of sweat appeared on her neck. Wu Ying stood aside, extremely worried. This billion was all the assets that Qian Huanlu could offer. I wonder if my husband will be blessed by Lady Luck this time. 1.1 billion. The sound of bidding rang out again, like muffled thunder, in Chen Huan's ears. No. It's too difficult. Chen Huan stared blankly ahead, suddenly feeling as if the whole world was against her. Why give me hope? Looking at Chen Huan, who was already somewhat dazed, Wu Ying stepped forward and advised. My lord, think about why we are here. The true opportunity for our Thousand Illusions Pavilion is not on the auction stage, but inside the Pengyun merchant ship. Yes, Pengyun merchant ship. Chen Huan slowly turned around. He turned to look at Wu Ying and said, "You're right. Pengyun merchant ship is the real opportunity for Qian Huanlu." Gradually calming down, she said, "I was the one who was too hasty. You didn't see things as clearly as I did." Wu Ying quickly shook his head. "It's because Lord Qianhuan has been carrying the entire Qianhuan Tower forward. When he suddenly saw the opportunity to break through to the void refinement realm, he was naturally influenced by it." Qianhuan looked eagerly at the Pengyun merchant ship. If the ship could offer such a treasure for auction, there must be an opportunity inside that could help him break through to the void refinement stage. Her focus shouldn't be solely on the items at the auction. At this point, the bidding price had reached 1.5 billion mid-grade spirit stones. Such a price not only surprised the onlookers, but even Zhou Yun was shocked. Looking up at the Tianshan snow ginseng, it looked like a 5th-grade spiritual herb. The two old men were excited as they watched the intense bidding. This left Zhou Yun puzzled. The price was probably higher than the previous void-breaking profound tower. "What's going on?" Zhou Yun muttered. Unable to understand, he shook his head, not wanting to get caught up in this meaningless entanglement. 2 billion. The moment the price was announced, everyone on site tensed up. Everyone silently recited this in their hearts. Is it about to exceed that? Will they make an offer? Everyone tensed up. Meanwhile, at the location of Wanbage, Old Master, she frowned deeply. He cursed under his breath. Trouble. How can there be competitors in this tiny southern region? Luo Ingyue sat to the side, not daring to speak. Whether or not to bid is ultimately up to the elder, but she thinks the elder will likely raise the price further. Currently, Tianshan Snow Ginseng is still profitable, but the final outcome is likely to be less than ideal. The other party raised the price aggressively, showing no intention of giving up. 3 billion. Fellow Daoist, if you want it, continue. This is my final offer. Old Shi shouted outside, directly revealing his bottom line. 3 billion and 1 million. The other party made an offer, but the price seemed so outrageous. Damn it. Old Master, she slammed his hand on the armrest in anger, cracking the entire chair. Why not raise the price by another 100 million? Why only increase the price by 1 million? This is infuriating. Luo Ingyue trembled, remained silent, and closed her eyes to avoid looking at old Shi, who was jumping up and down beside her. The transaction was completed, and Zhou Yun happily accepted 3 billion and 1 million spirit stones. The onlookers outside were quite excited. They were on the edge of their seats watching the auction. Holy crap, is this how auctions are conducted? Yes, brother, isn't this it? They just raised the price by 1 billion, which stunned me. Who isn't? I thought I misheard. Does any fellow cultivator know why this heavenly mountain snow ginseng is so valuable? Kingi Weifang, see you there. The pavilion of 1,000 flowers. Taking advantage of the fact that the fellow cultivators were forming groups, Yutong began the final, grand finale auction. A soft, slightly seductive voice brushed past everyone's ears, gradually quieting the noisy environment. Fellow Taoists, what follows is our grand finale auction. A black jade slip with silver patterns flowing across its surface appeared on the auction stage. A faint silver light emanated from him, almost imperceptible, as if it might disappear at any moment. What is this thing? It's so weird. It's a cultivation technique, and a very high-level one at that. I've heard that high-level cultivation techniques come with their own unique laws and phenomena. Tiske, this is the first time I've ever seen an advanced cultivation technique. Who isn't? Every advanced cultivation technique is the core of every major power. While everyone was discussing the matter, Zhuge Xiuming was looking at the clan elder who had been stunned ever since he obtained the Tianshan Snow Lotus. What's wrong now? Elder? Are you all right? Zhuge Xiuming called out softly, afraid that his voice would be too loud and disturb the elder's spirit. Old Master Gong ignored his juniors and reached out to stroke the beautiful patterns of the Tianshan Snow Ginseng. This action startled Zhuge Xiuming, who was standing nearby, causing him to take a half-step back. What strange quirks does my clan elder have? It's so inexplicable. As his mind wandered, these thoughts raced through his mind. The old man in front of him spoke slowly. Xiuming, do you know that if we had such a Tian Shan snow ginseng when we fled the central region, the previous head of my Zhuge family would not have died? Zhuge Xiuming naturally had no idea. He was born after his family moved to the southern region, and the elders had told him about the family's glorious history. His wish was to lead the Zhuge family to regain its footing in the Central Plains. At that moment, they heard the elders' question. Zhuge Xiuming shook his head and stood quietly to the side. The Tianshan snow ginseng is a rare treasure even in the Central region, but unfortunately it appeared too late. Seeing the tears welling up in Elder Gong's eyes, Zhuge Xiuming hurriedly stepped forward to comfort him, saying, Elder, it's not too late. We will return to the Central region. This must have been the wish of the previous patriarch. Don't blame yourself too much. The Zhuge family has been supported by you all these years. Cough. Old Master Gong suddenly coughed violently. With a bitter smile on his face, he said in a low voice, Of course I have to hold on. The entire Zhuge family only has me, a piece of trash, left to protect you. I'm useless, that's why I was assigned to guard the rear. Grandfather, father, eldest brother, second sister. They're all dead. Zhuge Xiuming didn't say anything more, but gently patted the elder's back. He had never heard of these things before. At this moment, he also felt extremely distressed. Chapter 82 Auction ends. No one knows the regrets of the Zhuge family. The auction was still ongoing. Yutong looked at everyone and introduced the Earth-grade top-level movement technique, Shadowless technique. When cultivated to perfection, it allows one to glimpse the rules of space and possesses the power to rival the void refinement realm. Seeing the excitement of the crowd, Yutong continued, the greatest effect of the shadowless technique is to merge the body with the void, moving without leaving a trace. To merge oneself with space is an ability possessed only by those at the void refinement stage. If you could master it at the nascent soul stage, it would undoubtedly be very helpful in breaking through to the void refinement stage. Yutong didn't finish speaking, but instead gave everyone a meaningful look. Many cultivators also understood the function of this movement technique. Is this a cultivation technique or a movement technique? It can actually help cultivators break through to the void refinement stage. It's a movement technique. When it reaches perfection, even a nascent soul cultivator can contend with a void refinement cultivator. That's true. Isn't the strongest ability of a void refinement cultivator to control the void and seal off space? With this movement technique, even ordinary nascent soul cultivators have the ability to escape from void refinement cultivators. Are you mistaken? You're always thinking of going against the void refinement realm. Previously, everyone was misled by Yutong's words. Everyone is a cautious person. Who would go and provoke someone at the void refinement stage? With this technique, wouldn't I be invincible among cultivators of the same level? Everyone tries to outnumber the weak and defeat the weak whenever possible. We're all sixth in command. This is the correct way to use movement techniques. Many cultivators who were capable of bidding stared intently at the auction stage. The movement technique is powerful, and it can also allow one to comprehend the void refinement ability ahead of time. As expected, it truly lives up to its reputation as a top-tier Earth-level movement technique. Seeing the crowd's excited emotions, Yutong announced directly. The Earth-grade top-rank movement technique, Shadowless technique, starting price is 10 million mid-grade spirit stones, and each bid must be increased by no less than 1 million mid-grade spirit stones. The auction begins. Bang! 11 million. 12 million. Get lost. This is mine, 20 million. The crowd was bidding wildly, while Wu Ying watched his master's back with a hint of exasperation. The figure that was forcing itself not to bid looked rather frail and pitiful. Go ahead and shout if you want, just keep a calm mind, Wu Ying muttered to himself. Sigh. Huan's body relaxed. This movement technique is so perfect for her, and it's also perfect for their 1,000 illusion tower. Pity. She gave up and didn't want to continue bidding, since it was ultimately impossible for her to win. I simply closed my eyes, out of sight, out of mind. 100 million. 110 million. 120 million. Auction prices are rising steadily, but unfortunately the increase is not significant enough. Zhou Yun frowned slightly, then relaxed. This final, eye-catching item may not be as expensive as the previous ones. Auctions only produce high prices when there are competitors stimulating each other. He had just glanced at the two nascent soul cultivators. One old man was still crying, and another old man was throwing a tantrum. It was all rather inexplicable. I wonder what had triggered it. Without participants, the auction was destined to fail to fetch high prices. Never mind, I took the tea that Uncle Zhou handed me and leisurely drank it. 300 million. 310 million. 500 million. After the price was raised to 500 million, the number of bidders decreased significantly. This time, the three great dynasties sent quite a few nascent soul cultivators, but none of them were at the void refinement stage. It seems that the Pengyun merchant ship is not famous enough these days. The unexpected arrival of two nascent soul cultivators for reasons unknown brought quite a few surprises to the auction. Seeing that no one else was bidding, Yutong grew anxious. She was really anxious. This was the grand finale of the auction. How could such a top-grade movement technique only be worth 500 million mid-grade spirit stones? It's not as good as the previous items. Are these cultivators out of money? Yutong glanced at everyone with a suspicious look in her eyes. Bang! According to the rules, she had to strike the auction gavel. The onlookers were getting anxious. The price for this grand finale was far too low, and they could all see that getting 500 million mid-grade spirit stones was a complete steal. At this moment, they only regretted that they didn't have any spirit stones, otherwise they would definitely have bid to acquire it. Fellow Taoists, this is a top-grade Earth-level movement technique. It allows nascent soul cultivators to gain the ability to merge with the void ahead of time. It truly is a top-grade movement technique. All the nascent soul cultivators wore bitter expressions. Did they not want it? They ran out of money. 1 billion. The sudden price increase reignited public anger. A bid has been placed. Add this much at once. Everyone was guessing who had made the bid. The one who made the bid was none other than our Lord Qianhuan. She had been holding back, watching as the item she wanted was sold for 500 million. After waiting a moment and seeing no one else bid, she immediately placed her own bid. As long as those two big shots don't raise their prices, she'll definitely be able to win this time. His eyes were fixed excitedly on the shadowless technique on the auction stage. This movement technique is indeed destined for their 1,000 illusion pavilion. Even Wu Ying felt there was a high chance this time. They actually have a chance to win the final item. It's unbelievable. Bang! A fellow Taoist has offered 1 billion. Yutong breathed a sigh of relief. The pressure had been immense. Even if the owner doesn't care, she will still feel guilty if the auction doesn't fetch a good price. Any fellow Taoists willing to bid? This is a true life-saving method, and also a treasured item passed down through generations of my family. They want it. Their family lacks a top-grade Earth-level movement technique, but they really don't have any spirit stones. Generally, cultivation techniques above the Earth level are accompanied by lore inscriptions, and each time one comprehends them, a portion of their spiritual light is diminished. All cultivation techniques above the Earth level are consumables and cannot be practiced by anyone other than those with exceptional family talent. Only by cultivating a technique to the highest level of mastery can one replenish the original lore inscriptions on the technique, or personally inscribe them onto a suitable material. Therefore, Earth-level martial arts techniques are often easily lost to the passage of time. Bang! As the second hammer fell, Yutong was already impatient, but she still had to pretend to be calm and show a faint smile. A touch of spiritual energy was mixed into her soft and charming voice, making her voice a little louder. 10 billion mid-grade spirit stones, for the second time. But the hammer in his right hand refused to fall a third time. She sighed helplessly to herself. Master, Yu Tong has done her best. He slowly raised his right hand, just as the hammer was about to strike for the third time. 1.1 billion. Yu Tong looked ahead with surprise. Meanwhile, Chen Huan on the other side shattered completely. This auction was truly its nemesis. It's about to be mine. It's about to be mine. He shouldn't have asked for a price in the first place, knowing full well that there was no hope. This time, Wu Ying didn't comfort himself either, because he himself had shattered. This time he understood how his parents had felt before. My heart is truly aching. The auction ended with a price of 1.1 billion, and Yu Tong felt very guilty. The happiest person was Luo Yingyue, who had really gotten a lucky break. Holding the shadowless technique, he secretly glanced at the old man who was still sulking. Chapter 83: The Deal with Thousand Illusion Tower. The auction ended, and everyone dispersed. Inside the Pengyun merchant ship, Yu Tong was sullen and unhappy. It's all right, 1.1 billion is actually the normal price. Zhou Yun comforted Yu Tong, who was feeling down. But this is the grand finale item. Shouldn't the grand finale item be the most expensive? Yu Tong asked, rubbing her slightly red eyes. Who said that an item can't be measured by its price, but by how many people need it? That final item? Zhou Yun nodded. Yes, this final item hasn't met its destined owner, or its destined owner can't afford it. Cultivation techniques also have a spirit. They will choose wealthy cultivators on their own. Zhou Yun smiled and patted Yu Tong's head. Go back and get some rest. You've worked hard today. Yes, master. Watching Yu Tong skip away, Zhou Yun chuckled and shook his head. She really is a silly fox. Those who are destined to meet will naturally be connected with my Pengyun merchant ship if you have money. Zhou Yun had originally planned to get together with everyone, but considering the busy things ahead, he decided to abandon the plan. Standing above Pengyun's space, Zhou Yun looked around. Xiaobai, expand the current space 100-fold. Yes, master. Suddenly, a hazy gray light rose from inside the space, intertwining and swirling together, and the space at the edges slowly expanded outwards. After waiting a moment, the space that came into view had completely changed. The mountain peaks have transformed into a continuous mountain range, and Butterfly Valley has become a tranquil valley. The most significant change is undoubtedly in the lakes surrounded by mountains, which have expanded into vast, shimmering blue lakes where brightly colored koi and small fish occasionally leap out of the water to play happily. They seem quite satisfied with the changes in the environment. The small island in the center of the lake is no longer the same as it used to be, where you could see the whole thing at a glance. Zhou Yun landed on the small island and arrived at an open space not far from the exchange tower. I closed my eyes and thought for a moment. Xiaobai, let's build our own Pengyun auction house here. Yes, master. Please select the auction house construction template. Immediately, the system panel appeared before his eyes, with various architectural designs flashing by. Zhou Yun slowly searched for auction house buildings that satisfied him, but there were just too many, so he entered some specific keywords. After choosing the auction venue you want, Xiaobai reminded you again. Master, do you want to modify the interior yourself, or let Xiaobai generate it randomly? He understood that the previous exchange tower was randomly generated by Xiaobai, and the expansion of the space inside would also deduct the corresponding auction points. However, now that he has enough auction sites, he naturally doesn't need to worry about these things. He waved his hand. You can do whatever you want. Yes, master. The open space in front of Zhou Yun was shrouded in gray mist, and it seemed that he wouldn't be able to finish it anytime soon. Let's wait for the final result. Zhou Yun returned to the bamboo grove courtyard and was about to go inside to rest when Uncle Zhou ran over. Uncle Zhou, what happened? Young master, the people from Thousand Illusion Pavilion have arrived. Oh, I had forgotten about them. Zhou Yun rubbed his forehead. He had previously guessed that the Thousand Illusions Tower might come to him to collect the rewards for the previous mission, but only after the auction ended. I was busy comforting Yutong and expanding the space, and for a moment I forgot. Looking at the eagerness on Uncle Zhou's face, he must also be very curious about the result. Let's go out and have a look. Zhou Yun smiled. He had previously thought of a way to get the Thousand Illusion Tower for free, and it should be easy to achieve. Upon arriving at the deck of the Pengyun merchant ship, two figures stood respectfully outside, namely Qianhuan and Wu Ying. Lying back in the chair, Zhou Yun lifted the restrictions and asked Uncle Zhou to call them in. Greetings, young Master Zhou. Wu Ying greeted him respectfully as he entered. The woman next to Zhou Yun also nodded. Zhou Yun's gaze fell on Wu Ying, who was probably the main messenger this time. Long time no see, please have a seat. Neither of them spoke immediately after they were seated. Uncle Zhou stood to the side, pouring tea for the two guests. Zhou Yun picked up the teacup, smelling the faint aroma of tea. Uncle Zhou's craftsmanship was truly natural. Only after finishing a cup of tea did Zhou Yun look up at Wu Ying. Have you completed your original mission? Half is done, but the rest is almost done too, at most 5 years. After saying that, Wu Ying probably felt that the time was a bit long, so he quickly changed his mind. No, 3 years. It can definitely be completed. Zhou Yun did learn some things through the Astrological Mysteries report, but he forgot to show it to Uncle Zhou. Zhou Yun glanced at Uncle Zhou, who looked anxious, and said calmly, "Then tell me the details." Okay. Wu Ying described their entire plan, from the assassination of Yun Chen in Wanghai City to the destruction of Yun Zhongchue and the fourth prince. Uncle Zhou, who was listening nearby, burst into tears. Zhou Yun gently patted Uncle Zhou's back and slowly channeled spiritual energy into him to prevent the old man from becoming overly saddened. Qianhuan, who had remained silent, gave Zhou Yun a strange look. If the information collected by Qian Huanlu is correct, then this young Master Zhou is Zhou Dopeng's son. The old man died, but he wasn't sad at all. He acted even worse than his own old servant. After waiting for a while, seeing that Zhou Yun still didn't speak, they assumed that the other party was dissatisfied with the actions of their Thousand Illusion Pavilion. Wu Ying explained urgently, "Young Master Zhou, the main problem is that the Heavenly Palace dynasty has experts at the void refinement stage, which restricts the movement of our Thousand Illusion Pavilion within the Imperial City. However, we will certainly do our best." Zhou Yun asked in confusion, "Doesn't your Thousand Illusions Pavilion have any void refinement cultivators?" These words pierced the hearts of the two like a sharp arrow, especially Qianhuan, who was standing next to them, recalling everything that had just happened at the auction. It's so difficult to even get an item that can help you break through to the void refinement stage. Moreover, this person thinks that the void refinement realm is worthless. There are only a handful of void refinement cultivators in the entire southern region. Wu Ying said in a muffled voice. No. He didn't mention that their Thousand Illusions Pavilion once existed, because its past glory was gone, and saying such meaningless words wouldn't change the current situation of the Thousand Illusions Pavilion. A smile appeared on Zhou Yun's lips. His gaze swept over the two people in front of him, making Wu Ying and Qianhuan feel a chill run down their spines. They couldn't understand what this guy was up to, but they were clearly up to no good, and both of them became secretly on guard. This was probably just a subconscious reaction as assassins. They had all forgotten that they were inside the Pengyun merchant ship, and that they couldn't even use their spiritual power now. Don't be nervous. Zhou Yun spoke softly, as if trying to lower their guard. But it was no use. The two became even more nervous. Zhou Yun could only helplessly say, "I can help your Thousand Illusions Pavilion acquire void refinement cultivators." Chapter 84 Leaving Songming City. Boom. This seemingly ordinary sentence struck them like a bolt from the blue. Qianhuan finally lost her composure and the calm she had been maintaining. Her voice trembled as she asked, "Really?" Zhou Yun did not answer the woman's question, but instead glanced at Wu Ying. Wu Ying quickly introduced, "This is our Thousand Illusion Pavilion Master, Lord Thousand Illusion." Upon hearing Wu Ying's words, Chen Huan realized he had lost his composure and said softly, Chen Huan greets fellow Daoist Zhou. Zhou Yun replied softly. She still felt it was more convenient to talk to someone she knew, so she turned to look at Wu Ying. What did you think of the Pengyun auction just now? Chen Huan felt a surge of dissatisfaction when she saw that Zhou Yun was ignoring her. Since she advanced to the nascent soul stage, she has never encountered anyone who showed her such disrespect. Although the Pengyun merchant ship is mysterious, it is far too arrogant. I am a nascent soul cultivator. It's already a great honor for someone who's a golden core cultivator to address you as a fellow Daoist. This trip was truly unsatisfactory in every way. Wu Ying didn't understand what Zhou Yun meant, and looked at his master with concern. He knew his master's temper very well. As the granddaughter of the previous master, and with her own excellent cultivation talent, she had been pampered since childhood. This also fostered a rather arrogant personality. Ancestor, you can't throw a tantrum now, Wu Ying could only plead in his heart. As it turns out, Chen Huan wasn't stupid. She was just still upset about what she had experienced at the auction, but she knew that this place wouldn't let her do whatever she wanted. Young Master Zhou, what did you mean just now? Wu Ying asked hesitantly. So I just want you to tell me what you think of Pengyun auction. Zhou Yun chuckled, ignoring their inner thoughts. Of course it's excellent. Many of the items at the auction can help cultivators break through to the void refinement stage. Wu Ying asked excitedly, does young Master Zhou mean you can provide us with items to help us break through to the void refinement stage? Zhou Yun looked at him as if he were an idiot. How dare you say such a thing? Ha ha ha. Wu Ying laughed awkwardly. He had been too excited to say it out loud. The items at the auction were incredibly valuable, fetching billions of mid-grade spirit stones. How could they possibly be given away so easily? What are your conditions, young Master Zhou? Wu Ying asked directly, not wanting Zhou Yun to keep him in suspense any longer. According to our original agreement, I will give you 19 billion low-grade spirit stones as a reward after the mission is completed. Do you think you can exchange these spirit stones for items to break through to the void refinement stage? Wu Ying was taken aback. He was only at the mid-stage of the nascent soul realm, and he didn't know much about spiritual objects that could help him break through to the void refinement realm. He turned to look at his parents. Chen Huan shook her head at him. Seeing the two talking, Zhou Yun flipped his wrist, and a 3-inch token appeared in his palm. The two looked over at the same time. The token was very ordinary, with a miniature image of the Pengyun merchant ship engraved on it, which suggested that it was related to the Pengyun merchant ship. Young Master Zhou, what is this? Wu Ying asked in confusion. Zhou Yun slowly said, you only know about the Pengyun auction, but you don't know about the existence of the Pengyun token. The token in his palm flipped up and down. The Pengyun token is something that allows you to freely exchange items inside the Pengyun merchant ship. It contains not only opportunities to break through to the void refinement realm, but also many items that can help cultivators ascend to immortality. After hearing Zhou Yun's words, Chen Huan and Wu Ying both looked at Peng Yunling with burning eyes. Wu Ying suppressed his excitement, swallowed hard and stammered. Then this token? Seeing Wu Ying's voice trembling slightly, Zhou Yun smiled and pushed the token in front of him. He said in a calm tone, I'll give it to you as payment for the previous reward of 19 billion low-grade spirit stones. What do you think? Okay. Chen Huan immediately agreed. Seeing the look in Zhou Yun's eyes, Chen Huan had long lost her previous arrogance. He bowed softly and said, I apologize, Chen Huan, for your rudeness. Zhou Yun nodded and pushed the Pengyun token in front of her. Then we'll meet again on the Pengyun merchant ship. Zhou Yun waved his arm, shooing the two off the ship. I am quite satisfied with this transaction. He used a worthless Pengyun token to make Qian Huanlu work for him for free. Moreover, this huge assassin organization must have a considerable collection of items, and they even found a client with great potential for Peng Yunling. They made a fortune. However, for Qian Huanlu, It was certainly not a loss. The Pengyun Token was indeed an incredible opportunity. If Zhou Yun hadn't offered it to them, they would have had to rely on their own luck to find it. After dusting off his clothes, Zhou Yun stood up and glanced at Songming City, where he had stayed for over a year. Uncle Zhou, we should leave now. Young master, where are we going next? Uncle Zhou asked. Whatever. Zhou Yun originally wanted to say whatever, but then he thought of the mysterious netherworld whale abyss from last time. The last transaction brought him considerable gains. Now it's worth making another trip, in case we make some extra gains during this time, which we can then trade with them. Even if you don't have one, then give them a Pengyun token. Zhou Yun originally did not want to give away Pengyun tokens, but he did need some big clients to fill the items in the exchange tower. He looked at Uncle Zhou and said, "Going to the mysterious whale abyss is fine if we're a little slower." "Yes, young master," Uncle Zhou replied respectfully. After Zhou Yun left, he stayed behind and cleaned the tables and chairs. A moment later, the Pengyun merchant ship slowly rose into the air and quietly left Songming City. But this scene was naturally noticed by those who were interested, and Pengyun merchant ship is now a hot topic in Songming City. Even if Zhou Yun left silently, at the moment he departed, the news spread throughout the city in an instant. Most of the cultivators looked disappointed as the Pengyun merchant ship, which had been stationed at Zhonghai Tianshu, departed. "Sigh, do you think I'm going crazy? Sometimes I even feel like the Pengyun merchant ship belongs to our Songming City." It's not your problem. Pengyun merchant ship has been stuck for more than a year, and sometimes we subconsciously overlook the problems. Songming City may never be as lively as it has been during this period again. Who can argue with that? These days, quite a few cultivators from other places have come to Songming City. Meanwhile, Xiao Hong hurriedly ran into the study. "Your Highness, the Pengyun merchant ship has departed." During this time, the third Prince Ming Chenyu was very depressed. He couldn't understand how such a thing could happen to the Songming dynasty. Ming Chenyu looked up at the window, lost in thought. "Have you left? I've always felt that the Pengyun merchant ship was the catalyst for the rise of the Songming dynasty, but now my father is in seclusion recovering from his injuries, and my eldest brother killed my second sister and defected to the Songming dynasty." Ming Chenyu muttered to himself, "Was my decision back then really right?" Chapter 85, Building the Pengyun Auction House. The trip to Songming City has ended, but the opportunity for the rise of the Songming dynasty has not yet arrived. Inside the Pengyun merchant ship, when Zhou Yun looked up at the island again, a dark brown wooden pavilion had appeared there. "Is it already built? It looks pretty good." A hint of joy flashed across Zhou Yun's face. Pengyun merchant ships finally has its own auction house. She rose and floated down below the attic. A pleasant, clean scent of wood wafts through the air. Its appearance is simple and elegant, without any unnecessary carvings, only showcasing the natural grain of the wood. Zhou Yun looked up and saw that the entire pavilion had about 7 floors. He stepped onto the light gray stone slabs and walked forward to push open the door. The moment I stepped in, it felt as if I had instantly entered a different space. The empty room was filled with gray mist, and the floor beneath your feet was made of wood. At the very front is a square platform, level with the second floor. That must be the place where auctioneers hold auctions. Zhou Yun nodded in satisfaction. This space could easily accommodate hundreds of thousands of people. Slowly walk up the wooden staircase on the left side of the entrance. The layout of each floor is not much different, but the higher you go, the fewer rooms there are. There is only one room on the top floor, and the layout is not particularly exquisite, except that the wood color is darker. The room contained only a simple table and chair. Zhou Yun sat down in the chair and looked up. Everything inside the entire auction building was laid out before them. "From now on, this room is mine." Now that he had made the decision, Zhou Yun naturally wanted to decorate his private room properly. "I picked out some odds and ends from the warehouse and spent auction points to have Xiaobai modify them." Instantly, a calming fragrance filled the room. It was a few stalks of Clematis chinensis in the corner of the room, shimmering with a faint fluorescent light. The original ordinary wooden materials in the entire room were all replaced with Xuanshen Suzuki wood with bluish-green patterns. The tables and chairs are made of third-grade sandalwood, and you can feel the warm spiritual energy flowing to your touch, which can reduce the fatigue of cultivators. The most eye-catching feature is the 12 third-tier moon soul night shining pearls arranged overhead, emitting a soft moonlit glow that is not glaring but rather makes the room feel bright and airy. The item level is a bit low, but the room comfort level has definitely improved. Zhou Yun was quite satisfied. He would let Uncle Zhou renovate the other rooms later. When other cultivators come to participate in the Pengyun auction, a comfortable environment should naturally be provided for them. Moreover, the higher the floor, the more upscale the layout should be. Based on the auction house that Xiaobai had renovated, Zhou Yun roughly understood some things. Those with higher cultivation levels can naturally occupy better auction positions. Of course, he was an exception. For most of the time that followed, Zhou Yun focused on cultivation. He had already written the corresponding rules for the meeting point at the thatched hut on a wooden board. Most of the new cultivators were able to operate according to the instructions. However, he would occasionally go there in his spare time to chat with some acquaintances. However, there are not many people who have obtained the Pengyun Token yet, only about 10. Those cultivators who obtain the Pengyun Token probably all possess their own unique fortune. Not long after the Pengyun merchant ship left Songming City, the cultivators who had come to attend the auction also returned to their respective places. News of the Pengyun auction thus spread. Most of the cultivators were shocked. Could there really be such a mysterious auction ship in this world? Inside the main hall of the Imperial Palace in Tionke, a tall, handsome man sat on a golden dragon throne. It was none other than the Crown Prince, Zhou Yun, who had already begun to take control of the Tionke dynasty. Although he did not wear an imperial crown, he already possessed the majesty of an emperor. The previous Emperor Tionke has only been gone for less than 3 months, and the period of national mourning has not yet ended. As the crown prince of the Tionke dynasty, Zhou Yun controls the affairs of the dynasty. He only needs to wait for the auspicious day chosen by the imperial advisor a year later to hold the coronation ceremony and rightfully become the new emperor of Tionke. You mean this Pengyun merchant ship originally belonged to our Tionke dynasty? Zhou Yun asked in a deep voice, looking at the people below. The minister below respectfully replied, "Yes, your highness. The Pengyun merchant ships first appeared in Wanghai City, and their current owners are also subjects of our Tionke dynasty." The man gave a detailed description of the Pengyun merchant ship, indicating that he had already investigated it thoroughly beforehand. Zhou Yun remained silent, his fingers lightly tapping the dragon throne. After a moment, he raised his eyes and glanced at the people below, asking in a low voice, "Since he is a citizen of my heavenly palace, do you have a way to make him serve my dynasty? All his requests can be fulfilled." The minister raised his hand and wiped the cold sweat from his forehead with his sleeve. This crown prince hasn't even ascended the throne yet. Isn't he being far too arrogant? Is that what I meant? I'm asking you to decide how our Tionke dynasty should treat the Pengyun merchant ship. Have you lost your mind? The minister was inwardly ranting and raving. On the surface, he couldn't show the slightest dissatisfaction, and his face was full of awkward smiles. He hesitated and said, "Your Highness, this may be difficult, and Pengyun merchant ship still has some unresolved grudges with our Tionke dynasty. Their heavenly dynasty has caused families to be destroyed and people to die, yet instead of praying that others will not seek revenge, they have made others serve them again. I don't know what they were thinking. You need to know that once the grand ceremony is over, I will officially become the Emperor of Tionke, and all items of the Tionke dynasty will need to be returned to their rightful place, including the Pengyun merchant ship." "You understand?" Zhou Yunxiao's tone was unquestionable, and his gaze was fixed on the trembling ministers below. "Your Highness understands. I dare not disturb you. I shall take my leave now." Watching the other person hurriedly leave, Zhou Yunxiao's lips curled into a disdainful smile. He touched the spot he had longed for. The entire Tianke dynasty will soon be his. What can a merchant ship that appears out of nowhere possibly do? It's great to have rare and precious treasures. They'll all be mine eventually. Perhaps Zhou Yunxiao's temporary victory in the struggle for the throne has made him arrogant. In contrast, the Zhou Yun dynasty and the Lonyue dynasty paid much more attention to the Pengyun merchant ship. They all dispatched intelligence organizations to search for the Pengyun merchant ship's location throughout the southern region. Furthermore, they found out the time and location of the next Pengyun auction. This auction featured a large number of items that could help cultivators break through to the void refinement stage. They didn't get anything at all. Refinement Void Realm. That's the pinnacle of combat power in the southern region. Their dynasty only has one void refinement ancestor. If they could have one more void refinement cultivator, then they would have a very high probability of unifying the entire southern region, instead of the current three-way power struggle. What worries them most is who will get the items in this auction. What they feared most was the appearance of unfamiliar void refinement cultivators, because that would truly change the landscape of the southern region. The imperial dynasty can no longer use its superior strength to set rules for the southern region. They are the rule makers, so they naturally understand. Rules are always made by the strong. Chapter 86. The news of the Pengyun Order spreads. As the three dynasties took action, Wanbeige's latest Astrological Mysteries report, Southern Region newspaper was launched. The majority of the section features drawings of Pengyun merchant ships, along with detailed information below. For the first time, the Pengyun merchant ship officially came into the view of many cultivators in the southern region. In particular, the detailed description of the most recent auction, with its transaction price of billions of mid-grade spirit stones, shocked all cultivators in the southern region. Through the newspapers published by Wanbeige, one could directly perceive the mystery and power of Pengyun merchant ship. Discussions about the Pengyun merchant ship have been sparked throughout the southern regions. Some people believe it, while others are naturally skeptical. Have you heard of Pengyun merchant shipping recently? Of course I know. I'm a loyal customer of the Astrological Mysteries report, Southern Region. It's probably fake. It seems a bit exaggerated. Especially items that help cultivators break through to the void refinement stage. How could such things be put up for auction? Although I don't really believe it either, I believe in Wanbeige. The Pengyun merchant ship was being discussed everywhere. Fortunately, the Wanbeige's guarantee added some credibility to the auction. It seems that Wanbeige has a high reputation among cultivators in the southern region. In a market town for cultivators, several qi refining cultivators were gathered together and talking. A man with prominent ears, surrounded in the center, was talking boastfully. He was a well-known figure in the market, making a living by selling various kinds of information. Everyone, what I'm saying is true. Look, this is a newspaper sold by Wanbeige. You have to believe Wanbeige, right? The man with protruding ears was unhappy with the doubts people had about him. He took out the Astrological Mysteries report, Southern Region newspaper, which he had obtained through his own channels, from his storage bag and slammed it on the table. Look, see for yourselves. The man with protruding ears spoke to the crowd with dissatisfaction. He's a professional at selling information. How could he let these people question him? It was only given a quick glance before being put away again. Hey, what are you doing? I didn't even see it clearly. It was collected so quickly. Then tell us more about it. Yes, we didn't question you. The man with protruding ears looked at everyone, stretched out his hand, and laughed. Small business, 1 low-grade spirit stone per serving. At the same time, he took out many photocopied notebooks from his storage bag and placed them on the table. Protruding ears, that's so unfair of you. That's right, a copy of the Wanbeige newspaper only costs 10 low-grade spirit stones, and this is a photocopy. The man with protruding ears scoffed. Then go buy the genuine Wanbeige edition. They indeed have no way to buy it, as the mysterious astrology report, Southern Region, is not sold in small places like theirs. In large cities, there are corresponding agents, which also prevents people like those with protruding ears from reselling information. This kind of piracy can only get out in small, unregulated places like theirs. Cultivation cities are fraught with dangers, making them unsuitable for cultivators at the qi refining stage. Amid the noise, the middle-aged man dining in the corner suddenly focused his gaze. The middle-aged cultivator was named Lin Feng. His body was covered in the blood of demonic beasts, suggesting that he was a cultivator who made a living by hunting in the market. He had just overheard the crowd's discussion and looked up to see the picture of Pengyun merchant ship on the newspaper. His hand instinctively reached for the storage bag at his waist. He didn't care about the food he hadn't finished eating and hurriedly got up and left. As he passed the counter, he tossed out a few spirit stones, avoided the gazes of the crowd, and squeezed into the market. Bang! Back home, Lin Feng closed his bedroom door tightly, trying to calm his tense emotions. He took out an ordinary-looking wooden token from his storage bag. He had found it in the monster's lair and had hurriedly thrown it into his storage bag. He would have forgotten about it if he hadn't seen the same pattern today. Is this token related to Pengyun merchant ship? Lin Feng frowned, his hands unconsciously clenching. If this token is indeed related to Pengyun merchant ship, it must be extremely important. Just as he was about to try channeling his spiritual energy, there was a knock on the door. Lin Feng initially didn't want to pay attention, but the knocking outside became more and more urgent. Lin Feng, open the door quickly. I know you're home, I see you're back. A rough voice came from outside the door. Lin Feng's heart sank, and he looked at the Pengyun token in his hand. The person outside was his hunting partner, Zhao Kuei, who had also seen him when he found the token. At the time, no one took it seriously, but now trouble has arisen. Lin Feng knew he couldn't avoid it, so he reluctantly opened the door. After closing the door again, Zhao Kuei asked directly, "Is the token we found in the monster cave related to the Pengyun merchant ship?" Before Lin Feng could speak, Zhao Kuei said directly, "We were together back then, so I have a share of this too." Lin Feng's heart sank. He didn't know the true value of this token, nor did he know whether his companions could trust it when faced with the Pengyun token. After hesitating for a moment, Lin Feng handed the token in his hand to the other party. But he withdrew his hand the instant Zhao Kuei reached out. "I'm not sure what this token is for right now. If it can really bring you benefits, you'll certainly get your share. But right now..." Before Lin Feng could finish speaking, the spiritual energy in front of him began to surge. A crimson fireball, accompanied by a scorching shockwave, hurtled toward his face. "Zhao Kuei, you!" Fortunately, Lin Feng was on guard and immediately activated his spiritual energy shield to defend himself. Bang! The explosive spiritual energy illuminated the entire house, and a fire instantly broke out inside. Damn it! Seeing Lin Feng dodge his fatal blow, a look of resentment flashed across Zhao Kuei's face. Holding a long sword, he attacked Lin Feng again, who was still not on his feet. The two engaged in a fierce battle, but facing the well-prepared Zhao Kuei, Lin Feng was no match and was severely injured. Puff! Lin Feng collapsed to the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Seeing Zhao Kuei walking towards him, Lin Feng tried to sit up, but his spiritual energy was already in disarray and his internal organs had been severely damaged. With a hint of resentment on his face, he looked at the man in front of him with a ferocious expression, determined to kill him. He felt both angry and resentful, but mostly helpless. A relieved smile flashed across Lin Feng's face. With his last ounce of strength, he roared, "Pengyun Token! Pengyun Token! It's here! Asshole!" A flash of cold light slashed through the air, severing Lin Feng's head. Zhao Kuei hurriedly picked up Lin Feng's storage bag and Pengyun Token, and rushed out the door. However, Lin Feng's voice had already attracted the attention of people nearby. Zhao Kuei was cornered. A battle for the Pengyun Token unfolded in the small market town. The battle spread wider and wider, eventually involving most of the cultivators in the market, and even drawing out the Foundation establishment guardians of the market. The Foundation establishment cultivators launched a bloody massacre in the market they were guarding, and the pervasive stench of blood awakened everyone. The rogue cultivators scattered and fled. Knowing the secret could no longer be kept, the Foundation establishment cultivator hurriedly left the area. The Pengyun Token was no longer a secret. News of what happened in the market spread like ripples from a stone thrown into a lake, quickly reaching the entire southern region. Chapter 87 Imperial Pursuit. News of the appearance of the Pengyun Token spread quickly, because that small market town was located within the territory of the Zhou Yun dynasty. The Zhou Yun dynasty immediately dispatched all its forces to capture the Foundation establishment cultivator who stole the Pengyun Token. If it weren't for the fact that Wanbage also had a teleportation array, Emperor Yunue of Zhou Yun would have wanted to seal off the entire territory and shut down the teleportation array. However, Wanbage would not cooperate with them, nor would they give them any face. Now, Yunyu can only seize the initiative and find the Foundation establishment cultivator before the other dynasties can react. Suddenly, the entire southern region was thrown into turmoil and chaos. They didn't know the specific function of the Pengyun Token, but items that could help one break through to the void refinement stage were clearly presented at the Pengyun auction. No matter what, I must keep the Pengyun Token in my own hands. Those cultivators who received the Pengyun Token also became completely low-key, not daring to show the slightest abnormality. Search thoroughly. The leader stood in mid-air, directing his men to search the mountains and forests, his sharp hawk-like eyes fixed on the movements below. According to the information we received, someone saw that the Foundation establishment cultivator fled to this mountain range. We're now close to the middle of the mountain range. Going any further in would be beyond the capabilities of a Foundation establishment cultivator, so that cultivator is most likely hiding nearby. The massive army advanced inch by inch, like a swarm of locusts. Damn it, why does it take so long to activate the Pengyun Token? What beast created this restriction? Foundation establishment cultivator Su Feng huddled inside a tree hollow, the approaching footsteps around him causing cold sweat to bead on his forehead. His eyes kept glancing at the token in his hand, the only thing that could help him escape. However, this will take far too long. The Pengyun Token is a complete rip-off. Hurry up, you bastard, Su Feng cursed under his breath. The countdown on the token is also slowly decreasing. 20, 19, 18, 17. Suddenly, an attack formed from compressed spiritual energy shot towards where Su Feng was hiding. Bang! Su Feng dared not interrupt the flow of spiritual energy into the Pengyun Token, otherwise all his previous efforts would be in vain, and he would have no chance of escaping. He could no longer hide himself. He rolled on the spot and dodged the incoming attack. Found him. The soldiers below surrounded Su Feng. The leader shouted even louder, "Su Feng, hand over." But before he could finish speaking, he witnessed a shocking scene. Su Feng was enveloped in a cloud of grey mist and disappeared from where he was. What's going on? A teleportation talisman? It shouldn't be. I didn't feel any fluctuations in spiritual energy just now. And that grey mist was too eerie. The leader landed where Su Feng had disappeared, looking around in confusion, but found no trace of spatial fluctuations. Could it be the Pengyun Token? He wondered to himself. He immediately ordered, "Rest and regroup on the spot, then surround this area." Inside the Pengyun merchant ship, Su Feng appeared at the meeting place. His gaze was blank as he surveyed the unfamiliar surroundings, his hand gripping the Pengyun Token tightly, his chest still heaving from the tension of the moment. In this unfamiliar place, there were 2 or 3 figures shrouded in grey fog, their shapes indistinct. Su Feng pinched himself hard. It hurt. He jumped up and down with joy. I survived. I'm safe. Everyone else looked at him with strange eyes. Especially Fatty Wong Hao, whose eyes held a strange smile. During this time, whenever he had free time, he would go aboard the Pengyun merchant ship to chat with Zhou Yun about what was happening in the outside world, mainly to get acquainted with Zhou Yun. Hearing what this person said, he probably guessed it. This person must be the most popular foundation establishment cultivator in the southern region. TSK Tisk. Being hunted down by all the top forces in the southern region is truly unique. However, a hint of worry appeared on his face as news of the Pengyun Token spread. Judging from the fate of this foundation establishment cultivator, it's clear that if people knew that the Wang family also possessed a Pengyun Token, Wang Hao's body trembled slightly at the thought. Alas, it seems that young Master Zhou will not be showing up today either. Wang Hao sighed. He had originally intended to activate the token and leave. But upon seeing the foundation establishment cultivator, he decided to stay and see what would happen next. At this point, only Wang Hao and Su Feng remained inside the thatched hut. After calming down, Su Feng began to carefully examine this unfamiliar place. There was a wooden board next to the counter. The rules and procedures inside the Pengyun merchant ship are also written above. Besides some basic precautions, there is also a very prominent note at the bottom. That was written by Zhou Yun to avoid trouble, and it also showed Pengyun merchant ship's attitude. Pengyun merchant ship is merely a trading venue and remains untouched by external disputes. Those who hold the warrant only need to abide by the rules, and we will not interfere in any other matters. Su Feng's heart sank, and he slumped to the ground, his eyes filled with despair. I thought the Pengyun Token would be my last hope, but it turns out this place is just a place to exchange items. He gripped the Pengyun Token tightly with his fingers, regretting that he should have handed it over immediately. That way, I should have a way out. Su Feng regretted it. Wang Hao moved his body slowly closer. Fellow Daoist, there is no danger inside the Pengyun merchant ship, so don't be afraid. Su Feng's eyes lit up. Yes, as long as I stay inside the merchant ship, I'll be safe. Hearing Su Feng's whisper, Wang Hao nodded in satisfaction and stepped aside. He was just stating the truth, and he naturally had his own purpose in doing so, to see Zhou Yun's attitude. Is anyone home? Having reached a dead end, Su Feng no longer cared about offending the people here and shouted into the void. Such commotion naturally caught Zhou Yun's attention, and he immediately appeared at the thatched hut. Are you the owner of this place? Su Feng asked, looking at Zhou Yun's sudden appearance. Moreover, Zhou Yun was different from the others. He was not shrouded in grey mist. Yes, is there anything you would like to know, sir? Zhou Yun asked softly as he sat down in the chair behind the counter. Su Feng knelt down on the ground and pleaded. Please save me. I was hunted down by the 3 great dynasties and had nowhere else to go but here. Please take me in, even if it's just as a menial job on the ship. While Su Feng was speaking, Wang Hao kept glancing at the changes in Zhou Yun's face. He just didn't see anything. Zhou Yun was too calm. Zhou Yun pointed to the wooden board beside him and whispered, Have you finished looking? Su Feng's face turned pale and he pleaded, Please save me. Zhou Yun shook his head. You should actually rely on yourself. The Pengyun Token is your opportunity and your only way to survive. Go exchange your items. Chapter 88 Great Fortune Abounds. 1,000 Patterns Gather Longevity Fruit. After Zhou Yun finished speaking, he disappeared from the spot, taking with him a copy of the Astrological Mysteries Report, Southern Region newspaper from the counter. This was placed here by UK. Every time Wanbage releases the latest Astrological Mysteries Report, UK brings a copy to Zhou Yun. Zhou Yun didn't say much about it. Well, watching Zhou Yun's figure disappear, Wang Hao sighed. Looking at the figure sitting on the ground not far away, he gained a better understanding of Zhou Yun's attitude towards handling such matters. Wang Hao whispered a suggestion. Go check out the exchange tower, maybe it can help you there. After he finished speaking, he activated the token and left. Su Feng staggered to his feet and went to the exchange counter, where he exchanged all the items he had on him, heading towards the exchange tower. At this moment, Zhou Yun was lying in bed, processing the information that Uncle Zhou had compiled over the past few days. Oh, so many spirit plants have been cultivated to the highest grade of Tier 1 by Jiming and the others. Even the longevity pine is ripe. I saw the 10 longevity pine cones that Uncle Zhou had picked and put into the warehouse. A look of joy flashed across Zhou Yun's face. He had planted this 100 longevity pine himself. I didn't strengthen it back then because I wanted to get it quickly. He took out a thumb-sized, oval-shaped fruit that was dark blue-green. Its surface was covered with a hard shell with fine diamond-shaped patterns. Is this the longevity pine cone? Enhancement. Smelling the refreshing scent of pine cones lingering in his nose, Zhou Yun immediately used his enhancement ability. He was quite looking forward to the changes after the enhancement. Golden array patterns appeared, and strands of golden light intertwined and wrapped around the pine cone. After the golden light dissipated, the previously faint pine cone scent suddenly became strong, filling the entire room. Congratulations, Master, on completing the 5-fold enhancement and obtaining a Tier 4 superior grade 1000 longevity pine cone. Ha! Upon hearing Xiaobai's voice, a hint of doubt flashed across Zhou Yun's face. Is it an accident that this enhancement did not change the original attributes of the 100 longevity pine? Unable to understand, he shook his head and clicked on the detailed introduction. Item: 1000-year pine cone. Type: spirit fruit. Grade: Tier 4, superior. Effects: can extend a cultivator's lifespan by 1,000 years. The effect is halved for nascent soul cultivators. The higher the cultivation level, the weaker the effect. Details: nurtured by the 1000-year-old pine over thousands of years, absorbing the essence of heaven and earth. Holding the 1000 longevity pine cone, with its even more mysterious patterns between his fingertips, Zhou Yun couldn't help but marvel at how this was truly a magical object born from the wondrous craftsmanship of nature. He casually set it aside and then began to strengthen it. Congratulations, Master, on completing a double enhancement and obtaining a Tier 3 superior longevity pine cone. Congratulations, Master, on completing the double enhancement and obtaining a Tier 3 supreme longevity pine cone. Congratulations, Master, on completing the double enhancement and obtaining a Tier 3 supreme longevity pine cone. Suddenly, Zhou Yun's gaze fell upon the golden lingering light that had not yet dissipated, and his body tensed up instinctively. This familiar feeling. Is it coming? I wondered to myself. Xiao Bai's slightly excited voice confirmed his suspicions. Congratulations, Master. Your incredible luck has allowed you to complete a tenfold enhancement and obtain the 1000-patterned longevity fruit. Ha ha ha. Zhou Yun held the 1000-patterned longevity fruit in both hands and laughed excitedly. This kind of thing, no matter where it appears, is a top-grade natural treasure. A 5th-grade, top-quality longevity fruit should be useful even for cultivators at the integration stage. Looking at the dark green, 1000-patterned longevity fruit lying in my palm, it was beautiful no matter how I looked at it. It is about 3 times the size of the longevity fruit, and it also has a hard outer skin. However, the pattern is not diamond-shaped, but rather a series of neatly arranged 5-pointed star patterns. In addition, the dark green aura that grows on its surface resembles a gathering of thousands of stars in the night sky, which is probably where its name comes from. After admiring it for a moment, Zhou Yun clicked on its information introduction. Item: 1000-patterned longevity fruit. Type: spirit fruit. Rank: Tier 5 supreme. Effects: it can extend a cultivator's lifespan by 3,000 years. Refining to the void can extend lifespan by 70%, and integration can extend lifespan by 30%. After that, the effect is not significant. Details: born from the 1000-patterned pine, it bears fruit only once every 3,000 years, and each time it produces 3. After reading the introduction, Zhou Yun's eyes lit up. His guess was indeed correct. The 5th-grade top-quality 1000-pattern longevity fruit was useful even for nascent soul cultivators, although the effect was inevitably weakened. He took out a box made of 3rd-grade sandalwood and carefully put it inside. This box was specially made for him by Uncle Zhou. He wouldn't normally use ordinary items. For example, the 100 longevity pine cones and 1000 longevity pine cones that he still carelessly throws on the bed. Now that Zhou Yun has the 1,000-pattern star-gathering fruit, he has almost completely forgotten about them. No further incidents occurred after that. However, Zhou Yun was already quite satisfied. After these 10 longevity pine cones are strengthened, except for the 1,000-pattern longevity fruit. In total, I obtained 3 Tier 3 Superior 100 longevity pine cones, 2 Tier 3 Excellent 100 longevity pine cones, 2 Tier 4 Inferior 1,000 longevity pine cones, and 1 Tier 4 Superior 1,000 longevity pine cone. Looking at the 9 spiritual fruits in front of him, Zhou Yun pondered for a moment, and then put the 4th grade high-quality 1,000 longevity pine cones into an ordinary wooden box. With a wave of his arm, he threw the rest into the exchange tower. In his opinion, only the 4th grade superior 1,000 longevity pine cone and the 5th grade supreme 1,000 pattern longevity fruit are qualified to appear at the auction. Through this reinforcement, Zhou Yun also paid more attention to the longevity pine. I'm just waiting for Zhiming to cultivate it to the 3rd tier top grade level, and then I'll strengthen it myself. I wonder what kind of spiritual plant it will become then. I just hope that a high-level enhancement will appear again then. Zhou Yun stood up, stretched, opened the door, and walked out. He was going to go into the space to strengthen some of the spiritual plants that Uncle Zhou had prepared, which had grown to their limit. Meanwhile, inside the exchange tower on the other side, Su Feng finally got what he needed. He gripped the redeemed items tightly in his hand, took a deep breath, activated the token, and left. When Su Feng reappeared in the outside world, he immediately swallowed the pill in his hand. He had already spotted the soldiers sitting in a circle not far away. The blood-red pill entered his stomach, and its medicinal power exploded, instantly unleashing a surge of violent spiritual energy within his body. Su Feng's cultivation level, which was in the mid-foundation establishment stage, was directly raised to the mid-golden core stage. The fluctuations from the burst of spiritual energy attracted the attention of soldiers not far away. Upon seeing Su Feng's figure, they immediately shouted, "He's out! Su Feng is out!" Sensing the powerful aura emanating from Su Feng, everyone cautiously retreated. However, the shouts of the crowd also attracted their leader. A streak of light rushed over, its oppressive aura enveloping all directions. Standing high in the sky, he shouted sternly, "Su Feng, hand over the Pengyun Token immediately, and I will spare your life." Chapter 89 Mortal Encounters. Sensing the power of the newcomer, Su Feng had no desire to answer. He took out a teleportation talisman and activated it. Unfortunately, with his wealth, he could only exchange for a low-grade 3rd-tier teleportation talisman, which could only teleport him 100 miles at most. He didn't know if that would be enough to escape this calamity. After the teleportation talisman was activated, he looked up at the cultivator in the air. He had miscalculated. The other party could fly, so he was probably a nascent soul cultivator. He probably couldn't escape the range of a nascent soul cultivator's divine sense even after traveling 100 miles. "Su Feng, how dare you!" With a sharp shout, the general naturally sensed that Su Feng was activating the teleportation talisman. With a fierce attack, he struck Su Feng's location with a palm strike. I just don't know if it's a coincidence. Just after Su Feng left using the teleportation talisman, the palm strike landed with a bang. Boom! Gravel flew everywhere, and dust billowed up. A group of soldiers gathered together warily, staring nervously ahead, on high alert. At that moment, everyone heard their general's voice. "You all wait here, I will personally go and capture Su Feng." Knowing that the enemy had fled, everyone finally relaxed. If it weren't for the general accompanying them, they would probably all be in grave danger. Thinking of the imposing aura Su Feng had just unleashed, he couldn't help but shudder. But they waited for a very long time. Someone grew impatient and couldn't help but mutter something under their breath. "It's been almost half a day, why hasn't the general returned yet?" "Yeah, we've been stuck in this desolate wilderness for months chasing after Su Feng. I've had enough of this." While everyone was complaining, some people stepped forward to offer words of comfort. "Everyone, please be quiet. Perhaps Su Feng is too cunning, and the general has wasted some time on the road. Some people nodded in agreement, saying, yes, the general is a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. Do you think he would let a mid-stage foundation establishment cultivator escape? Just wait patiently to return to the dynasty and claim your reward. When it came to their contributions, no one complained anymore. Although the process was arduous, we encountered no danger, so the credit is almost like a freebie. Moreover, if this Pengyun token is truly valuable, the final reward will likely be quite substantial. Time slowly passed in everyone's imagination. The soldiers' initial ease vanished, replaced by a growing sense of unease. Finally, someone voiced the suspicion that everyone dared not believe. Do you think the general might have run away with the Pengyun token? Boom! These words struck them like a thunderbolt. Even if they didn't want to believe it, it was probably true. Their credit is gone, and they are very likely to be punished. News of this matter quickly reached the imperial city of Chasing Clouds. Inside the palace, Emperor Yun Yu, in a fit of anger, slammed his palm into the desk in front of him, shattering it. He immediately ordered a reward to be offered for the General Mo Xian who had defected with the Pengyun token. Suddenly, Mo Xian became the new focus of the entire southern region. However, this time the crowd did not show much enthusiasm. Everyone knew that compared to chasing Su Feng, finding a cultivator in the late nascent soul stage was much more difficult. This incident also made people from the three major dynasties and powerful forces re-evaluate the Pengyun token. It was enough to make a late-stage nascent soul cultivator willingly offend the Zhou Yun dynasty and risk embezzling and defecting. The Pengyun token must be hiding a huge secret. Of course for them, the best news was that the Chasing Cloud dynasty hadn't gotten it, and they all watched the Chasing Cloud dynasty make a fool of itself. At this point, most people probably think, it's better for everyone to not have it than for only you to have it. The incident with the Zhou Yun dynasty also served as a warning to everyone. The Pengyun token cannot be found by relying on subordinates unless you can find the other party's weakness. That day, Zhou Yun was chatting with Wang Hao at the reception area. Young Master Zhou, the entire southern region is in chaos right now, with all the major powers frantically searching for news of the Pengyun token, Wang Hao said, his face filled with lingering fear. A smile appeared on Zhou Yun's face as he turned the page of the newspaper in his hand. Isn't it written here? Wanbage really updates its information very quickly. Zhou Yun pointed to the newspaper report and said that he had long anticipated the spread of the news about Pengyun's order. How could this possibly be kept secret? There's always bound to be an unexpected incident. Wang Hao peeked over and said softly, it's normal for Wanbage to do this. The Pengyun merchant ship is the most important thing for cultivators in the southern region right now. Zhou Yun nodded, agreeing that this was undeniable. As the Pengyun auction is held more frequently and more rare treasures appear, the Pengyun merchant ship will always be the most important thing for cultivators. Wang Hao looked up at Zhou Yun, who was engrossed in reading the newspaper, and hesitated before asking, Young Master Zhou, when will the next auction be held? Zhou Yun glanced at him and said without any mercy, your meager Pengyun points aren't enough to compete for anything at the auction. Wang Hao's chubby face twitched a few times. This blunt truth was far too hurtful. However, while he was grieving, he didn't notice the change in Zhou Yun's expression. At this moment, an old man in tattered clothes arrived at the reception area, his cloudy eyes taking in the unfamiliar surroundings. Where am I? Am I dreaming? Hearing the murmurs behind him, Wang Hao was about to turn around when his vision was obscured by a grey fog. Zhou Yun isolated the frail old man from himself in a separate space. He frowned and looked at the old man with a serious expression. This was actually a mortal, with no spiritual power in his body. A mortal who accidentally obtained the Pengyun token? How did he get onto the Pengyun merchant ship? After pondering for a moment, I still couldn't figure it out. Logically speaking, without the input of spiritual energy, it is impossible for an ordinary person to activate the Pengyun token. Xiao Bai's voice appeared in my ear explaining, Master, if a mortal keeps the Pengyun token with him for a long time, there is a certain chance that he can enter through a dream, but the probability is very small. Zhou Yun nodded, got up and walked towards the old man. Grandpa, don't panic, come and sit down here. Zhou Yun smiled and helped the old man to a chair next to the counter. The old man sitting opposite Zhou Yun still hadn't lost his panic, but looking at the young man with an ethereal air and a smiling face, his inner turmoil gradually subsided. The old man asked somewhat hesitantly, "Excuse me, where is this place?" "Here it is." Zhou Yun paused for a moment, then looked at the old man and said, "This is the place where your wish can be fulfilled." Looking at the old man, Zhou Yun flicked his finger, and the Pengyun token flew out from the old man's clothes and landed in his hand. "Immortal, you are an immortal." The old man was once again frightened by Zhou Yun's actions, his body trembling as he tried to kneel before the man. In his understanding, those with such abilities must be legendary immortals. A surge of spiritual energy swept over the old man's body, calming his turbulent emotions and bringing him back to his senses. This token can be exchanged for one wish. Chapter 90 Enhancement Harvest. The old man looked at the token in Zhou Yun's hand. He had found it in his own pigsty. Could it really be a treasure from an immortal? He thought the design was pretty and that wearing it would keep him warm. He never imagined it could be something that could grant wishes. The old man looked at Zhou Yun with excitement, just about to speak. Zhou Yun interrupted, saying, "Think it through carefully. This is your opportunity, so cherish it." This was a solution Zhou Yun came up with on the spot. Since the mortal had obtained the Pengyun token, it proved that he was destined to be with his Pengyun merchant ship. He could exchange the token for a wish, provided that the mortal did not treat him like a wishing turtle. As soon as Zhou Yun finished speaking, the old man immediately bent his hunched body and pleaded, "Immortal, please save my grandson. He was bitten on the thigh by a wolf while hunting in the mountains, and now he has a high fever and is not going to live." After a moment of silence, the old man's wish was very simple. Zhou Yun slowly said, "Are you sure you don't want wealth, don't want to become an immortal, don't want to rejuvenate?" As Zhou Yun spoke, the old man slowly raised his head, a hint of struggle flashing in his eyes, which were no longer visible. He shook his head and said, "Immortal, I have already lived through the life of an old man in this mortal world. Now I only wish for my grandson to live well." "Okay, I understand." Zhou Yun nodded and then began searching. There are many items that can heal injuries, but using them to treat a mortal would probably cause him to explode and die. Finally, Zhou Yun placed the 3 items in front of the old man. A small purple grass, a pale blue water lily, and a green pill. Boil this herb and lotus flowers into a soup for your grandson. After he regains consciousness, give him this pill, and he will be fully recovered. Zhou Yun simply explained how to use them, without telling the old man what the names of these items were. It probably doesn't matter to the elderly. The old man stretched out his withered hand and carefully gathered the things on the table, thanking Zhou Yun profusely. "Thank you so much, Immortal. Thank you so much, Immortal. Remember not to tell anyone about what's happening here, lest you bring trouble upon yourself." Zhou Yun looked at the old man and solemnly gave him his instructions. "Go." The fog dissipated, and the old man disappeared from the room. In fact, the old man's appearance here was different from that of the other cultivators. The other cultivators appeared in their physical forms, while the old man was just a wisp of his spirit relying on the Pengyun token to come to this place. Wang Hao looked puzzled when he saw Zhou Yun reappear. However, he also understood that there were some things he shouldn't inquire about. Zhou Yun had blocked him from knowing, which meant he didn't want him to know. He flashed another flattering smile and asked, "Young Master Zhou, would you please satisfy my curiosity? When is the next auction?" "I don't know, any suitable location can be used to hold an auction." After Zhou Yun finished speaking, he ignored Wang Hao. Lying back in my chair, I pondered the old man's wish. Perhaps it was too simple. To some extent, Zhou Yun provided extra care, so it's likely that the old man's grandson will be healthy and strong throughout his life. Taking out the Pengyun token that the old man had unexpectedly obtained, Zhou Yun smiled and said, "Who can say for sure about opportunities?" With a wave of his arm, he cast him back into the myriad realms guiding instrument to find the next destined person. He glanced at Wang Hao beside him and then disappeared from the spot. Back in his room, Zhou Yun sat cross-legged on the bed, intending to upgrade all the items he had exchanged during this period. I wonder if any treasures will appear. An auction should have items for sale. A golden light flashed before him, ignoring the constant notification sounds in his ears. I will only stop to check the details when an item that interests me appears. Congratulations, Master, on completing the Eightfold enhancement and obtaining the Tier 6 superior ancient treasure. The myriad streams returned to the ruins cup. Zhou Yun's face lit up with joy. With more enhancement attempts, surprises were bound to come. I opened the information panel. Item: Wanlu Guishu Zhan, a type of ancient Chinese wine vessel. Type: Support ancient treasure. Rank: Tier 6, superior. Efficacy: its main function is to refine all things, demons, humans, spiritual plants, stones, etc., or absorb various residual energies from the void, purifying them into a pure spiritual liquid that can assist cultivators in their cultivation. It can also absorb enemy attacks and release suppressive power to weaken the enemy's strength. Good. Zhou Yun examined the deep blue Wanlu Guishu cup in his hand and couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. Judging by its effects alone, one wouldn't immediately grasp the power of the myriad streams returning to the void cup. However, after reading the system's detailed description, Zhou Yun could only conclude that it truly lived up to its reputation as a 6th-tier ancient treasure. Its most powerful ability is spirit nurturing, which comes with the law of time. With the supply of cultivators' spiritual power or array spirit stones, it can quickly improve the quality of the spirit liquid. For example, a spiritual liquid that can accelerate plant growth can improve the quality of 2nd or 3rd-tier spiritual liquids by several levels through spiritual energy cultivation, although the consumption involved is also extremely high. Furthermore, the golden core elixir, which can help cultivators break through to the golden core stage, can also be purified and concentrated to create top-grade golden core elixir. It can only be said that its support capabilities are extremely strong. I carefully put it into the warehouse. Zhou Yun continued to strengthen his abilities. Congratulations, Master, on completing the double enhancement and obtaining the 2nd-tier superior spiritual plant, Star Essence Orchid. Congratulations, Master, on completing the triple enhancement and obtaining a Tier 1 Supreme Crimson Flame Stone. Zhou Yun found the enhancement of these low-level items uninspiring. Unless a high multiplier enhancement occurred, these items were of little value. Zhou Yun is now most looking forward to the arrival of the 1000 Illusion Tower. I gave them the Pengyun Token, and almost half a year has passed, but the 1000 Illusion Tower still hasn't come. What are they up to? Golden light flashed continuously as Zhou Yun tossed useless items into the exchange tower. It's uncertain whether these items will stand out in the exchange tower. If they aren't exchanged by cultivators before the cooldown period ends, Zhou Yun will enhance them again. In the future, there will probably be some that slip through the net and will eventually be upgraded into high-level treasures by him. In the end, he was lucky enough to auction it off himself. I yawned out of boredom. The sound of Xiaobai's voice rang in his ears again, startling him awake. Congratulations, Master, on completing the Sevenfold enhancement and obtaining the 6th-tier low-grade demonic beast, Crimson Thunder Sparrow. Zhou Yun sat up and looked at the small grey bird, about the size of a fist, that appeared in front of him after the light disappeared. His lips twitched involuntarily. Is this a 6th-tier demonic beast? Chirp, chirp. The little bird was still a fledgling, with a very weak aura, but it probably had the potential to be comparable to a cultivator at the void refinement stage. Even the fledglings possess strength comparable to Foundation establishment cultivators. Not bad. Zhou Yun poked its sharp little beak. Chirp, chirp. The little bird probably knew that the person in front of it was not someone to mess with, and it affectionately nuzzled Zhou Yun's fingers with its head. Ha ha. Bored, Zhou Yun played with it for a while. Thinking back, this 6th-tier Crimson Thunder Sparrow seemed to be just an ordinary Thunder Feather Sparrow before it was enhanced. It's a mixed breed, so its bloodline is probably not very pure. His net worth has really skyrocketed now.